What's up, weebs? Welcome back to Anime Lane, the podcast where we take you down the yellow brick road of anime and have a look at everything it has to offer. As always, I am your host, Notorious, and joining me once again today after this introduction is Shaun and Melina, because it's another EX episode, this one covering all of Satoshi Kon's directorial works. That is, of course, in theatrical release order: Perfect Blue, which was released in Japanese theatres 28th of February 1998. Millennium Actress, released in theatres September 14th, 2002. Tokyo Godfathers, November 8th, 2003. And Paprika, released 25th of November 2006. All of which, of course, as I mentioned, were directed by Satoshi Kon. Perfect Blue was written by Sadayuki Murai, as well as Millennium Actress. Tokyo Godfathers was written by Keiko Nobumoto, and Paprika was written by Seishi Minakami. Everything from Millennium Actress onwards had Satoshi Kon involved in the writing process as well. So, yeah, this is all of Satoshi Kon's films, all four of them together, in release order, not in chronological order from when we recorded and released the episodes. I just want to present all of them from, when Kon, released Perfect Blue up to Paprika, his last film. So that does mean after I'm done with this introduction, you're going to hear a content warning that I recorded there on the day for the Perfect Blue episode, and I'm going to leave that intact just so you know that's what I'm talking about. So yeah, hope you enjoy. General content warning: the film's rated an 18 for a reason. It's trauma, violence, sexual assault.
Yeah,
I was trying to find the best wording for that part.
Listener discretion is advised.
100%. So Perfect Blue, if you haven't seen it, is a...
We assume you've seen it if you're listening to this, but if for some reason you haven't.
If for some reason you haven't and you're listening to this, it's a film about a former pop idol who becomes an actress, and it's kind of a look at the societal influence that can have and the pressure that it can put upon a person. It's very much a look at how idol culture can affect someone's mental health with a crime detective, well, not detective, but a crime spin on that murder mystery type thing, I guess. It's a very intense movie, which we've established. I don't know where to start.
It's hard to really start, where the conversation can start with this movie, because we don't want to dive right in.
No, and I mean the movie doesn't dive right into it either.
No, it takes time.
It takes about halfway through to all the most of the intense stuff to actually happen. A part they even reference in the movie itself, sort of a meta context when she's, I think it's her second movie that she's working on, where halfway through this happens, and then after that the plot degrades. The sense of reality becomes very much blurred, and it kind of I think you see the foundation of what led to Millennium Actress in that section. But I think done much better than Millennium Actress, in the sense that just when you feel like you're okay, this is real life, suddenly it's cut, we're moving on to the next scene, and you're okay, this is all not reality. With Millennium Actress, it felt like, I don't want to call it a gimmick, the whole reality shifting thing.
It was very much a big part of the story that you were constantly
it's a
questioning
narrative
everything.
Device, whether whether that works or not.
And I think I know what it is. There was no lead in.
You just kind of get dropped in, and you're like, what's happening?
You just got to figure it out, whereas Perfect Blue has that lead in and that build up to all that stuff, which I think made it a lot stronger.
And I think it's more of a switch where it's another narrative device, but it kind of is there to show there's a slight monotony in what she's doing, but also she's not even sure what reality is anymore as well. So it's a nice kind of way of confusing the viewer as much as she is confused as well, I think.
We've sort of started already, and we still don't know where actually to start.
It's an interesting one, because it's, I think, since Ghost in the Shell, are most serious movie.
Definitely heavy hitting.
But Melina, from your perspective,
I really liked it.
Okay, cool.
I kind of I wasn't sure because I'm watching it and I'm like, this is as I really need to figure out how I'm going to navigate this one. I think as a male viewer, there's like a slight disconnect in some of the stuff I'm seeing and that how the main character feels.
Yeah.
And I kind of was conscious watching it that I'm like, have I just put Melina in the most uncomfortable position possible whilst watching a movie?
I don't think so. I mean, there are scenes that are meant to be uncomfortable, and even for a male viewer, I'm assuming it would be
100%.
Yeah,
very
like
uncomfortable.
the whole rape scene,
Yes, that really got under my skin.
which even though it is like in the movie, it's a scene like in a movie, it still was very uncomfortable.
100%.
Yeah, it was. I think to watch it as a female viewer, you kind of understand her a bit because it's, a known thing in the industry, especially like 2090s. You can't say no as an actress.
Yeah.
You don't have that position of power. You want to become a good actress, gotta say yes to anything.
It's either that or nothing, which is kind of fucked.
Yeah, like if we think about like the Harvey Weinstein era, it's like say yes. You do whatever they ask of you. They're like, this is gonna help your career. In like a manipulative way. I mean, she chose to do it in the end, but she also said
there was
I prefer
definitely
not
like
to.
the overtone of that throughout that whole scene, and like with like the agents, like just talking about and Rumi, who we'll go into deeper.
Oh, we will talk about that. Yeah.
Jesus, that was a twist I wasn't expecting. I'll tell you that.
It's funny how you mentioned like 2090s and like obviously the Harvey Weinstein stuff, but I don't think I'm going to say it's better in Japan in the industry, but I don't think it's to the point that we're at here in the West. I still think it's very much you have to do it.
Yeah.
Whether you want to or not, you are in so many fucked up contractual obligations when you're in the idol industry in Japan. And unfortunately, even though she transitioned to an actress, it's kind of within Seiyu culture, which is the term for voice actors. It's very much like you're kind of a workhorse, you're a bit of a slave towards the labor of it and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think much has unfortunately changed in that regard.
I mean, it's they were filming this movie, the detective one. It was I think it was a series.
The detective stuff was a series.
It was a series,
and she had a bit part, but then I think the rape scene is in a movie that she was in.
Because from how I kind of interpret it, I wasn't sure whether it was the same thing or not. So I just kind of saw it as this writer has not finished the story.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add
Oh, yeah, actually you are right.
that is so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know why motivations mean probably manipulative.
I think he kind of done that because, and I know this is absolutely fucked up. He was asked to make more for her role, and from a writer's perspective, if you have a certain idea of how you want the story to go, being asked that, you're kind of like, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
And so I guess he's maybe done that because it's to push like an idol's, not necessarily buttons, but
image?
like how far her image can be stretched before.
Because that's sort of a central theme with her as she's like transitioning from an idol to an actress. Because like as an idol, they sort of show that she had like a sort of innocent, good girl sort of
like
image.
A pervasive thing within idol culture in general. You can't be in a relationship. You can't be overly sexual. You have to be the
it's what we
ideal.
see in like K-pop culture right now. It's very much you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't because you have an image.
You present a certain brand, you can't change that brand.
Yeah, because people worked hard to get you that branding, so don't go ruin it.
Yeah.
It was very. I liked it a lot, and like seeing that transition between idolhood and acting. I think it was very interesting to see like how it affects you mentally, going from you're on a stage in front of people, like direct feedback to like. You see she's very nervous, like running her one line 40 times. Like, I have to get it right. And it's nice to see that vulnerable side.
Yeah.
It's funny, any lull in the conversation is when we're like, where the fuck do we...
Where do you go?
It is a hard film to navigate.
Of course, yeah, I mean, by design.
By design.
Yeah.
The internet is like a core thing to this, but
it's weird how they captured fandom culture so well in a movie from this was 1997.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
7 or 8.
Yeah, I looked it up like after watching it, and I think it was 97. It's funny because it's so Web 1.0, but at the same time, nothing has changed.
No, I think this was very much, and I don't know, because the Perfect Blue is based on a book, and I don't know how much of the internet stuff is in the original book, or if that's something that was added by Satoshi Kon when he was making the movie.
If it was added, then it's seamless.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's scary how much that is a prediction of modern day. And the fact that Satoshi Kon never lived to see any social media that came to be like that it's scary how much he managed to just...
It's prophetic.
Yeah, very much so.
Like the main like rabid fan guy, I'm not even sure if he was real at the end. The guy with like one eye or something.
I don't know.
I don't think we're supposed to really know, but that's in modern times we'd call that a stan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
bordering on stalker. But
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I don't even think bordering on. I'm pretty sure he would be classified as a stalker. If
Yeah,
she
you're
went
right.
to the police. And,
he stalks her.
yeah. The fact she never once thinks, hey,
should
I've
talk
been
to the
seeing this guy
cops.
all the time. I should maybe
Yeah.
report that.
Yeah.
I mean, that again is like, you'd say, because this guy's probably, I'm your biggest fan, yada yada. And if she goes to the police, he's like, this is how she treats her fans who love her. How dare she?
Yeah, this is true.
I could see it
that's
going that way if she tried that.
I think the difference being that he is mentally unhinged.
Correct.
Whereas I think there's a contrast in, you see the photographer kind of waiting outside the agency building when she's going to work. But then there's him who is writing all about her day online. And I think there's a slight difference in...
Literally step by step.
Yeah, step by step. And I think, she could have reported him and been like... And he could have said whatever he wanted, but the fact that he was stalking her is fucked. And I think that, you see it now, at least, and everyone can kind of rally around, yeah, don't fucking do that.
Yeah, creepy bastard.
Yeah. Whether that would have been the case in the late 90s, I don't actually know.
I mean,
I'd like to hope for better.
you were there, but you were like a very small child.
If this came out in 97, I was just born.
Yeah, and we weren't even around at all.
No. I'm going to check what date this came out, because I may have not been born when this released.
I think you mentioning the photographer, I think that's something we should touch on as well. But there are people in the industry that are known to be like, yeah, just take your clothes off. It's fine.
He was very
you mean
pushy
on the photographer that
The
asks her
professional.
Yeah.
And the fact that I think her ex-bandmates were like, oh, he's known for like getting girls to take their clothes off. It's like mentioned offhand.
I think that was
quickly.
the fans. Was it the fans?
No, I think it was the other idols.
Was it
Yeah,
the
like I
other
think
idols?
also
Because
the
they sort
fans
of
were
laugh
like,
about it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
like it feels very manipulative.
Yeah.
But it was kind of weird to understand from her perspective, because she was still kind of like, I have an image to protect. And still, again, dude, it's whatever you want. Like, it's your body, it's your choice. If you want to do that, do that.
I sort of thought, I'm not sure if I misinterpreted or anything, but I thought that like she was trying to like purposely shed that like idol image to go full into
She definitely wanted to move from
Yeah.
Actually, that's a fairly apt, I think,
pretty good, yeah.
comparison. I think, she's trying to move away from the innocence.
I thought that's why she ended up agreeing to the rape scene, other than, the overtone of sort of being forced into it. Or at least she convinced herself that she wanted to do it to shed that sort of
I mean, we
innocent
see
image.
later that she didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I think you're right in that she kind of convinced herself that to get away from the image that she has, she needed to do that scene. She needed to do the nude photography. Even though in a weird way, those end up fueling the fans of that image that she's already built up in a negative way, which is, that is not a criticism on her. That's a criticism on the fan base.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. Because if we think about, like, again, to pull the Miley Cyrus, when she kind of, shaved her head and started going her own way, people were like, excuse me, Hannah Montana,
you can't
what is
do
this?
that.
You can't do this.
I remember my gran went to visit a family member in America when I was 12, 13. And so this would have been right around when she was kind of moving away from Hannah Montana and doing that sort of stuff. And they were like pulling Hannah Montana DVDs off the shelf and being like, no, you can't buy that because, you know.
Yeah, look at her now.
Yeah.
She's
Jesus.
cursing.
Which is...
Ugh.
That's
I mean, that is a summary of America nicely
Oh,
right
of
there and how
course, yeah.
fucked they are. But, you know, why? Like, if she wants to do it, she can do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a person. She can do what she wants. She's an adult.
And I mean, the underlying point is that realistically, she doesn't want to do it. She just convinces herself that she does, which is, you know, a nice comment on how the industry was
How it like fucks
at that
with
point
you.
in time. Yeah.
It's just so hard to talk about
It
because
is so
it is
hard.
very chaotic of a movie, and I love a good chaotic movie, but it's also like finding the threads that kind of weave it all together. It's because I still don't think I fully understood what's happened.
I
feel like I need to watch it at least 3-4 more times to be like,
yeah, second time I've
absolutely.
seen
Of
it,
course.
I grasped it a little better, but I still got to the end, and she says the final line, "No, I'm real," and I'm like,
What? I will say I grasped this one I think a lot more than I did Millennium Actress, which I still did like.
I think that's fair. I think, you know, like we says, the narrative device of Millennium Actress maybe doesn't always work
Nah.
so well. I think it's slightly different here in Perfect Blue. I think it works a little better because it's meant to cause confusion.
Yeah, and I feel like it's more like saying up to interpretation is a cop out. But
it's ambiguous.
It's
It
ambiguous.
is slightly ambiguous, but I don't necessarily know if it's an open to interpretation ambiguous, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Because like that ending scene heavily points to like, you know, it was roommate the whole time.
Which to me, it would make ish sense. Like, Rumi's been the one that's been talking to the guy.
Yeah.
And that's why the guy's like, you're not real because she talks to me. And this reminds you know, Catfish, the show?
Yeah.
There was a guy that was convinced he was talking to Katy Perry. Like, convinced
Yeah.
this random Facebook profile was Katy Perry. Yeah, like, it's her secret account, what she used to talk to fans. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's pulling a lot of comparisons how fans are very easy to be manipulated. There's a reason.
If they really want something to be real, they'll
Yeah,
convince
I mean, I
themselves
think
real.
it's a certain section of fans can easily be convinced, and I think that more then points to maybe underlying mental health issues
100%.
that
Oh, absolutely.
should definitely get checked out. And there's also like a certain vulnerability that someone might have, you know, depending on their current situation in life, whether they're, you know, been single for a long time and aren't good with women in a social setting. They're more likely to fall for that sort of thing. If they've,
Yeah.
you know, recently divorced and are kind of still reeling from that, they may be more susceptible to that sort of thing.
Yeah, the more vulnerable.
Yeah, so it's in that sort of stuff is interesting because it's like we kind of look at Catfish and it's like, oh, why the fuck would you believe that? And it's like, no, let's actually sit down and unpack why the fuck they might.
Look at the circumstances
Yeah.
here.
In this case, like, apparently the stalker had been talking to her for so long. Because, you know, if you have one message on your Instagram, like, hey, I'm Chris Evans. This is my secret profile to get close to fans. I get these accounts all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Pedro Pascal. I need some money to get to the set of The Last of Us. I have Oscar Isaac here with me. Hey, this is Oscar.
Hello, this is Oscar Isaac.
Would you like an autograph? Yeah. Like, it's a cultural thing now that it's so common.
Yeah.
To have, like, this is my profile that I use to talk to my fans because my manager won't let me talk to
What
fans.
I find hilarious because I'm like, how are you people getting these fucking messages? I never end up
I
with
get
that sort of
so
stuff.
many of them.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I get a lot of weird requests anyway.
I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, just by default. if
Yeah.
you're-
I don't use any hashtags, whatever, nothing. Every few days, it's like, hello, darling. How are you doing? Would you like be sugar baby $5,000 a month, nothing sexual? Huh? I mean, it's bots. We all know it's fucking
it's
bots.
always
bots,
100%.
And it's all targeted at like that, you know, that little nectar of data that people can get a
Yeah.
hold of. And just because you don't use hashtags, like they'll
They'll
be able
still
to
find you.
see your
Yeah.
profile is female and
Exactly.
target you through that.
Lovely.
I do find that the accounts for our podcasts and one of the other business accounts I have, which was a parody account I don't use anymore, all end up in random group chats on Twitter. Like they'll just get added to a bunch of random
Joy.
ones.
So like that, I guess, is another kind of thing that they're targeting. Sorry, weird tangent.
Yeah,
but-
we're going a bit meta.
Yeah. So I think Rumi, she's the
Yes, let's
manager
talk about
/ mentor, I'd say.
Yeah,
and
she was sort of the
disappears
sane.
very early on.
Ironically enough, yeah, she was the sane one, like out of the two.
I did find her frustrating. Mima
Yeah, it's Mima.
continuously says, I want to do these things. And she's like, oh, but think about Mima. And I'm like, bitch, would you listen to what she just fucking said?
She adult. She do what she want.
Because, like, if she was like, oh, you know, I've been through it, I'm like, yeah, she probably has helpful advice. She knows she's gone through the motions. She knows some people, yada, yada. Apparently fucking not, but, you know.
Yeah.
Sure. And, like, it threw me for a loop to be like, oh, it's been her all this time. Because that's how she knew all what she was doing every single day as well.
Because she was, like, talking to her and, like...
I can sort of... I think it makes sense, though, when you kind of... If you go back and watch it, there's some dialogue lines that give it away. Because the... I don't know who he was. The like guy they were always talking to.
The other agent.
Yeah, I thought
I
he
think
was
he's
like
like,
the agent, and she was more mentory. Felt to me.
I think she's the agent, and he's
maybe owns
a
the
manager or
agency
something.
or
Yeah,
some
maybe.
shit. Yeah.
He mentions, you know, oh, just because you failed at it and you didn't make it, and I think she says something similar. And so I think when she said that, it like makes sense that she might be trying to look for something in Mima that she couldn't do herself.
You know, it's the whole, well, I didn't manage to be the pageant beauty queen, but my daughter, I will live my dream, you know, through.
It was very soccer mom.
Yeah, very
like what I was
so.
getting.
Living vicariously through her.
Exactly. Because that's why I was like, she's kind of creepy, but she's like, no, do this. It's because she's like trying to right her wrongs. Like, I went wrong. I failed. But I know now. You know, it's like getting to do life over again, but with all the knowledge you have. So that's how I saw it. And it was like, oh, that's a weird comment, but you know, she knows. She knows best.
I find it
Finish
odd.
what I started.
I find it odd that she's then like trying to correct a mistake, quote unquote, that she never made herself. She never went into acting. She only done the idol part of it.
Yeah.
And yet she's like, oh no, you're making a mistake. And it's like, how can you possibly know that?
Yeah.
Well, she's insane, so.
I mean, yes, she is insane. Unsane.
Very not sane.
Very not
Very
sane.
not sane. Because the last sequence where she was like in the costume, and it finally kind of clicked, like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because we had the part where Mima was supposedly killing people, and the bloody clothes were in her closet. And that was the part where at the end I was like, oh, so wait, she put the it was to get in her head.
It's funny because like I was watching it again and I'm like,
That makes sense.
Yeah. Although it is weird that like they make it, I mean, yeah, I guess it would serve to give it away if they didn't make it look like her.
Yeah.
When she's stabbing the guy in the delivery uniform. But there is like some scenes where it's like, I get what you're going for. But like the final chase sequence when Mima falls from the balcony, I can understand her kind of landing and maybe getting hurt and she'd be okay. But when Rumi fully jumps from that balcony to the next roof, her legs would be busted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And not to, you know, shame or anything, she's not exactly in the
best shape.
Yeah.
No.
And that would also serve to worsen any damage she would receive from that fall.
And going like past that, just to like skip ahead a bit in that chase, when she sort of stabs herself on like the sort of glass thing.
Like the conclusion where like she's broken the window and she goes over. That glass would absolutely have just snapped.
Oh, absolutely.
It would have cut her, but it wouldn't have
it would have cut her, and then it would have crumbled because, you know, skin.
Yeah. But it wouldn't have been like it is in the movie.
Flops down.
Clean.
Yeah, then she just gets back up and it's like...
I like the only thing I was kind of sad. I was sad she didn't get hit by a bus. Because I legit, I thought it was beautiful. You had like the lights coming at her. It sounded like applause. It was her final bow, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, that would have been perfect.
I mean,
It would have also been a nice kind of connection to a line that Mima says, but I have no context for in the movie, where she's like, "Oh, maybe it's something to do with that when I nearly got hit by the truck," and I'm like,
What?
when did that happen?
I don't know, but she says it in a line of dialogue, and I'm like,
I think when she's running on the street, she just dodges. Like in the beginning, she's running after her vision of herself, and she almost gets hit by a truck, but it's not very close.
When she's like about to step off, and then she realizes this is what the guy talked about, and then she starts running. I think is what you're talking about, like that whole
that
sequence.
One,
oh, okay.
It isn't very clear.
It's a stretch.
Yeah, but it is. Because when I saw the final truck, I was like, oh yeah, of course she gets hit by a truck.
Yeah.
Truck couldn't coming in.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's honorable to save her. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't have.
Isekai time, bitch.
Yeah.
I don't get why she saves her. I would have just been like, yeah, no, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck her. You've been stabbing me.
Yeah. To ignore option one, which is just mercy.
Yeah.
Which is, possible. Compassion.
Yes.
I think I want to possibly, this could be grasping at straws, but this was like not long before this, there was that sort of sequence where it was very Groundhog Day-esque, where like
she kept waking
everything
up.
was just sort of repeating itself over. So I thought it was like a whole, I need to break this sort of cycle thing.
Oh, maybe. Possibly, yeah.
Which that's how I interpreted it anyway.
That's a good interpretation of it.
Yeah.
God, I didn't think of that. It was a very trippy sequence.
Yeah.
Once you've reached that point, you're just
my
not
brain
sure.
did start to turn off, but I was like, no, I gotta fight through this. I gotta talk about this.
I got to bring up this is off of the actual content of the movie. I got to bring up the subtitles. They could have used a little bit more TLC. There was a lot of weird moments in them.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I watched this dubbed, so I didn't watch
fair enough.
Yeah.
I did think about watching it dubbed because I did see that I think they dubbed a couple of the songs, and I was like,
yeah,
that'll be interesting.
I was surprised when I watched it like dubbed, and I actually heard the songs, and I was like, oh wait, that's English. They dub the songs.
I didn't expect that.
I want to say, by the way, that opening like song with like when they're singing is like Sham. That's been stuck in my head since I watched this movie. Yeah, it goes.
I watched it subbed. I don't know why. I just felt like it.
I watched it subbed just because that's my default with these sort of things.
I recognized sub was becoming my default, and I wanted to switch it up for this one. So I went with both movies dubbed this time.
There's just a weird I think more time could have been taken with them. There's a lot of there's either spaces missing, there's a space where there shouldn't be, there's a couple of spelling errors, but mainly my main gripe, the subtitles take up a lot of the screen. Like, they don't put in many line breaks. It's like, so, you have your full 16:9 ratio to use, whereas subtitles tend to be kind of centered.
Yeah.
And there's natural places to break them so that they're nice little rectangles of text.
Yeah, it's the standard sort of conventions.
Yeah, so you're not going one side of the screen to the other in a full line. Most of the film has this, where it's just like...
It's very... I didn't particularly notice, but now thinking back on it, I feel like there were a few lines where I was like, whoa!
Yeah. I didn't like that just because that's not the convention of subtitles.
No,
but then
exactly. It kind of takes you away from it. Yeah.
But then it also bothered me at the end where they suddenly switched to doing it properly, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck is going on? Because in the final scene, there's like suddenly a line where it has like a line break in the proper point, and I'm like...
Oh, we could have done this?
We could have been doing this?
It's all part of the movie. It's reality coming back at the end. It's genius. And not that we fucked it up until the end.
There's no point in fixing it. We're this far.
Look, movie's about to go. Just fucking just go with it.
So yeah, that, is there anything else we can say? Anything else we want to talk about? Little bits or pieces?
I'm not sure. I feel like there should be, but I can't think of anything in my mind right now. Do we want to talk about how fucking gory the deaths were?
Oh, it's very visual.
Yeah, I want to say specifically the first sort of murder where like he's in the car park and the music. That almost fucked me up a little.
That comes out of nowhere.
I had to like... I almost had to pause the movie.
Don't pause it there.
Yeah.
You just have to look at it.
yeah. And I almost had to be like, I need to take a minute just to sort of breathe. Because that that's when everything just sort of becomes very intense. And another thing, I don't like the eye murders.
Yeah.
It was the eye stuff that was really getting to me as well.
I didn't like that either. That
Like, ugh.
there's very few things get under my skin, but a few of these scenes and the way they get murdered in this movie definitely made me. Ugh.
I don't usually have any specific gore things that like gets me, but I think eyes is becoming one of them because of this movie. Ugh. I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I didn't really like that either.
I mean, it's still a great movie.
Oh yeah.
And the movie was definitely not. I was gonna say improved by that. That sounds wrong. It was needed for like the theme of the film.
Murders.
It was the theme of the film, and it played well. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even like I'm against nudity if it doesn't add anything and it's overly sexualized. I think
Fair.
in this case, yeah, fair.
I mean, that's pretty fair.
yeah, like
That sounded so normal. I was wondering where the fuck you were going with this.
yeah, because it's there were opportunities where they could have sexualized it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
and I think it was only at the end the sequence where we kind of saw the pictures the photographer took.
Yeah.
where you were like, oh, that's fucking creepy. That's ew. That's
And the fact that
gross.
he's not hiding the fact that he's very excited while taking those photos.
Yeah.
he's like sitting on top of her
Yeah.
while taking these pictures.
I didn't feel bad about his death, I'll be honest.
No, I
Even if it was
also like,
gross.
serves him right.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that I thought it was done very tastefully.
Nice.
Just appreciate it, even though.
Not the norm for anime, I have
No,
to say.
exactly. There are a few, upskirt shots where I was like,
Yeah. I will say, I noticed that as well, and I was like, that was needed.
I guess because it's the 90s, I feel like the idol costumes were very restrained as well.
yeah.
Whereas they could have been way more.
Oof.
H.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
With
did.
that.
With that, I'm gonna quickly. I have the page up here. It came out February 28th, 1998. So I would have been under 1 year old when this came out. I would have been. I was born in July 97, so that's
Like
7
months?
8 months.
Yeah.
Perfect time to watch. Perfect Blue.
Blue.
I first seen this in 2017. It's been 6 years since I watched it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, scores. I guess who wants to go first?
I'm gonna give this a 9.
That's fair. I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna give it a 9 as well.
9.5.
Oh,
That's the opposite when the last time we gave
Yeah,
like
I know.
high scores.
yeah. I'm surprised.
This has been my favorite we've watched ever.
Nice.
I guess we should give context to the fact that I recommended this to you about 2
2
years
years
ago.
Yeah.
Because not necessarily similar, but it gave me the same vibe as a
Yeah.
script that I read that you wrote.
Oh yeah, I remember that script.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, wow, you're right.
Because I read that and was like, oh wow, this is scarily like Perfect Blue tonally in a sense. Anyway, similar sort of struggles I think that the character went through, and I think you took a different approach, obviously, but it was very much. I read this and I was like, oh my god, wow, this is.
Yeah, thinking back, that's pretty similar.
It's also my little niche. I love movies about the film industry. Like Millennium Actress. I was like, fuck me up. Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And when you add like psychological stuff into it, I'm like, this is it. This is the good
yeah.
stuff.
It's absolutely fucking amazing that we normally resonate, me and Shaun, with the sci-fi stuff. The, like,
And you'll hear that when we talk about it from air.
yeah, the more surreal stuff, and then you're just like, oh yeah, fucking murder,
Hell yeah.
Singers, funky little songs, make her an actress.
people having mental breakdowns.
Fuck me up.
Just injected into my veins.
The thing is, I do love that sort of stuff myself as well, which is, obviously why I put it on the list.
yeah.
It is a hard movie to recommend to anyone, though,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
attach 7 different warnings to it.
Yeah,
It starts with a questionnaire, like, on a scale from 1 to 5, how uncomfortable are you?
How
with-
mentally stable are you right
All
now?
right, okay, here's my therapist number. Just have a call. He'll assess it, and then I'll send you a link.
Do you have previous experience with sexual harassment, murder, mental trauma, anything that may be related to this movie? Please let me know. I will not recommend you watch it.
If you're susceptible to these symptoms.
How was the dub actually? Because I think the dub would have been recorded in the mid 2000s.
It did sound like around that quality. I want to say like either that or like just a couple years after the movie came out.
Yeah, I think it would have been 01.
And
02.
I mean, in my opinion, just going through this conversation, I don't think I lost anything.
No.
I still feel like I felt the same quality.
This is why I've kind of stopped saying, you know, let's watch it this way or that way, like unless there is like a specific
funny actor.
Yeah, or there's like a change where like the dub, you know, Ghost Stories, the dub and the sub aren't the same product. There's no real reason for me to say.
Yeah, as long as it's not like localization gone wild.
Yeah, no, it's not Pokemon.
Yeah, it's not just any 4Kids show.
No, it's not One Piece where they replaced all the fucking cigarettes with lollipops or anything like that.
Or instead of guns, it's just guys pointing very intimidatingly. But I'll be honest, I was tempted to look up like if the dub was any like significantly different, and everyone just came back, no, it's the same.
No,
it's
I think it's fairly the same. An interesting thing about the movie, or an interesting thing about the Blu-ray, I went into the menu,
perfect Blu-ray.
The perfect Blu. No, it's not the perfect Blu-ray, unfortunately.
Aww.
As I'm about to point out, I went in obviously to set up. It defaults to the English dub, and I pick Japanese, and there's two different versions. There's the stereo and there's the
mono.
The surround sound mix. And it was the surround mix that came on because all of the track is mislabeled in the menu. So the only way you can get the stereo track is to play the movie and then switch manually while you're watching, which is fine. But interestingly, it marks it as linear PCM, a lossless audio format, and it's DVD audio. Which isn't necessarily a problem. It's mainly there because I think like to save probably running out of space in the disc.
That makes sense.
Another interesting fact I learned: the stereo track isn't stereo. It's actually the film was mixed in mono.
Oh, it is mono. Okay. That slight mistake I made earlier while you were
no, you were
right.
For budgetary reasons, rather than doing a stereo mix or a quad stereo, which would have been 4.0, which would have been common at the time. They've done mono because budget.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, work with what you can do.
Yeah, and I don't think the movie loses anything for it.
I'm not as much of an audiophile, so even if there was, I wouldn't notice.
This is true. I just thought that was interesting.
I mean, it is interesting.
It's these sort of things that because I'm just sending you the finished file from the disc, you can't see these weird little things that I come across when I'm working on these things.
It's nice to get a little bit of insight.
Yeah, so that's Perfect Blue. Once again, if you haven't for some fucking reason seen it yet, and you're listening to this, you've listened to this whole conversation,
and you feel you're mentally stable enough for it.
Yes, do remember it is a fairly intense movie. There is graphic content. There is sexual assault.
If at any point during this movie, which I can attest to, you start feeling heart palpitations, just take a break.
Take a breather.
Drink some water, but I heavily recommend it still.
So I watched Millennium Actress first.
We've all done the same thing for once.
Okay.
So we'll start with Millennium Actress then, which I feel makes more sense.
Yeah. I want to get that out of the way first, I will say.
You say that like you didn't like the movie.
I mean, I did like it. But I'll be honest, I don't think I liked it as much as I think it usually gets in terms of reception. Because like
I don't get what you mean.
I looked up like some of the reception like this movie.
Oh, you mean like the general
consensus?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really go with what the general consensus says because personal opinion will always.
Very edgy of you and non-mainstream.
We've yet to stray from the mainstream on here yet.
Oh.
Okay. I guess we're doing it now.
No.
It's a fine movie. It's just like I don't want to say I don't get it because that makes me sound like I didn't understand the story, and I did. It took a while though.
Yeah, I mean it's a very I think I said to you last night, it's very meta contextual because of how layered it is.
Yeah. It can be confusing at times because it kind of goes back and forth from I'm telling you about my history and suddenly no, this is a movie set. I'm like okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's Satoshi Kon always really does this where he will confuse your perception of reality. So at the film starts and we meet Chiyoko and she starts telling her story and then suddenly it's a movie, but the movie is also sort of like her real life.
Yeah. It was hard to decide like what part was part of the movie story and what part had been like sort of adapted of like her life story in a movie form.
I think a scene that really encapsulates that confusion for me is when she finds the key again. She's, you think you're seeing the Apollo launch on the TV. She's cleaning up. She's married. You're thinking, okay, she's taking some time out from work, blah, blah, blah.
Real life.
She's hoovering, doing, typical woman things for the 1960s.
Stereotypically. Stereotypically is the word you want to use.
And then suddenly she finds the key, a light comes on in the background, and you're on a movie set, and you're like, what?
Okay. Yeah.
Because she has a full conversation with the director who she's married, and you're thinking, was this a movie? Was this real life?
Because I kind of also interpret it in a way as like she's very old, so maybe her memories are
there's that too. She does kind of
well.
mention that when she says to the director, we can't do it today. We can't do it any other day than today because she won't remember by tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's that interesting thing of like memory being malleable.
It all sort of merges.
Yeah. I don't really know where to start either.
Do you want to give like a basic outline of like the plot?
I mean, realistically, we say we're introducing these movies to people, but realistically, we expect them to have seen them when we talk about them because we don't hold back on the spoilers.
We really don't.
And there is no way to talk about Pancreas later
Oh,
without spoiling
not.
that movie. Millennium Actress is an interesting one because this film has stumped me. I've seen it twice. I understood it a little bit more in the second go round, and I appreciated it a little bit more in the second go round.
I can imagine that.
Oh yeah. I said that to you when you said, "Oh, okay, I'm appreciating this more the second time round."
But I also don't know if the ending had a little bit more of an impact on me because when I saw it the first time, it was around 8 months before my gran went in the hospital, and now obviously I'm watching it after the fact, much later after the fact. Thankfully, she's fine. She's still here. But at the time, we were thinking she wouldn't be. So I think that the ending has a little bit more resonance in that capacity. But then also, it's an interesting one because this is a Valentine's special. And we have picked the two most unconventional love stories that I think we could have picked.
Doesn't that say a lot?
Yeah.
Because Millennium Actress doesn't have the love interest present, like, at all. He's in it maybe, 3 times?
He's in it for, like, mainly the first, 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the movie is just, like, her trying to find him again.
And then you find out at the end he was dead, the whole time.
Yeah, he's been dead, since
the first time we see him after that. Because they tortured him to try and get info, and then...
Yeah. Because this movie takes place, or at least at the start, takes place during the war.
So it takes place... So they mention World War II, and it starts before that. And they're talking about Manchuria, so I assume they're talking about Korea, like the Korean campaign, and...
I mean, Manchuria's in, China.
I know, but, you got to remember, they Imperial Japan worked their way up.
I know, but, didn't they get to Korea first? Because...
Yeah, but they're still going to have been...
Okay.
That would have been their occupation of Korea, is what I'm talking about.
All right, cool.
Then...
Not cool.
From there, staged an invasion of Manchuria, I assume.
We know history.
And I think he was... It's weird, because he says he's going to Manchuria because there's people who are fighting the resistance there. So was he... a rebel against the Imperial Japanese army, or was he a Manchurian? I don't really know.
They didn't really go into it.
Say maybe subtly you could pick something up.
Wait, no, he does mention he's from Hokkaido though, so he is from Japan.
Yes.
So I assume then he's just.
If I remember right, I think the most they call him is a dissenter or something. Yeah, that's how he's described somewhere.
Yeah, because at the end, when she goes to find him one last time, she goes to Hokkaido into the kind of countryside and stuff. So he's from there. I don't know why he wants to go to Manchuria, and I don't know. I'm taking it on my perception of the Japanese at that time typically being very patriotic.
Yeah. nationalistic.
Nationalistic
I think is the correct term.
Yes. That's not at all the point of the film.
I mean, it's there. I
it's
feel
a
like
backdrop for the story.
yeah, I feel like we wouldn't be able to avoid it.
It's weird how it totally focuses on that at the beginning of the movie, and then it's like World War II happens, and it just doesn't address that.
Yeah, so yeah, then all this fucking shit happened with like a world war, but we're just gonna, you know, we're not focusing
That's
on
for
that.
another.
Yeah.
Not now.
There's like no mention of Hiroshima. There's no
We're not
mention
talking about
of...
it. We're not talking about it.
Yeah. It's
the
also
fuck up.
interesting. It kind of implies she was in this world's version of Godzilla at one
Yeah,
point.
it
as well,
really
which
does.
I found really cool. Which also somehow ties into her love story, weirdly enough.
I
And
will-
she's running towards him, and she's like, he's waiting for me there. And I'm like, are you talking about Goji?
I will say that specific section where she's marching through like the snow and stuff, and like she's trying to reach like a kind like the area that you told her about in Hokkaido, but like then it cuts to Godzilla. At that moment, I literally just went, okay, what the fuck is going on at this point?
I also think the scene on the moon makes like no sense either.
No.
Because she suddenly just finds the easel there, and then suddenly she's back in Hokkaido, and I'm like,
Sure.
whatever.
Like, I think scene to scene transition was done really well.
Yes, the editing's
It's-
very good in this movie.
It's absolutely beautiful, but boy, does it make for a confusing fucking time.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You're like, okay, so we're in Rio, and okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on anymore. Never mind.
I think it's interesting because I feel like it has an intended effect here in Millennium Actress, but we're going to be covering Perfect Blue soon, and it's so much worse in Perfect Blue, to the point that I finished watching that movie the first time and went, what is reality? Am I alive? Am I real? Am I gonna be stalked and wake up and find out I'm not me?
It's like Hello World, but worse.
Yeah, but that's Turtles All the Way Down.
I
That
know.
one.
But it's the same idea of what is reality?
Yeah.
Is this reality?
I think it's a
But it's a different kind of thing from what you're
Yeah.
describing, I know.
Millennium Actress is a nice movie, I think, in that it's sort of wholesome
Yeah.
in a way.
Like I said, I recognize it's a good movie.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't call it bad at all. It's just I guess I didn't jive with it in some places.
I think I get that. I'm glad it's on the shorter side, I think, compared to some of the ones
Yeah.
we've watched. A lot of them, they tend to stray more towards the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, I did have a big sigh of relief when I saw, like, before I put it in, like, the time, and I was like, oh, okay, this is only like an hour and 20 minutes. Cool.
Yeah, it's slightly shorter, which I think works more for what
Yeah.
it's aiming
Yeah.
for.
Absolutely.
It would have dragged a lot
Yeah.
if you let it continue longer. Yeah.
There are movies we've covered where I feel like that they could have cut some things down and they
Yeah.
did drag because it was 2 hours. I think we've discussed that.
Yeah, I think we maybe mentioned that for Galaxy Express, which
Yeah.
is sort of a catch-22 in that you can't really tell its story
Yeah.
in less, but also it
That's
kind
a
of
hard
drags at points.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Millennium Actress very much fits, I think, its runtime.
Absolutely.
It's weird when we come across movies that we aren't sure how to talk about.
Yeah.
Because I always feel like
yeah.
I have thoughts on what I can say, and then we sit down and I'm like, huh.
How do I put this into words?
Yeah.
I mean, it's for me personally. This is like one of my little niches that I really like, like movies about film industry. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is
Yeah.
about it. I'm like, yes, sign me up for this meta bullshit. I love it.
I would almost say it doesn't go enough into some of the movie stuff it brings up.
I mean,
There's a
I
whole
agree, yeah.
rivalry between Chiyoko and
The older lady.
Eiko, the
Yeah,
older
yeah. Yeah,
actress, that's never really touched upon, other than obviously like she's the adversary in every film we see. I think that's one thing that kind of makes it a little easier to understand, is that every time we switch to a different movie, we're seeing the same characters in
Yeah.
similar roles, so you can kind
Yeah.
of understand the kind of flow of time.
Like, it's not just like those main two actresses, but there's also like a group of like extras in
Yeah,
every
because you
movie
have
that
the
talk
police
about stuff.
officer from the
Yeah.
beginning when the guy gets captured. He's like a recurring
Yeah.
character throughout it. He's always like he's the noble samurai
Yeah.
and the samurai picture and all this sort of stuff. And then, but then it fucks it all up when he kind of shows up as an old man later, because then that sort of bending of reality is almost broken a little bit.
Tiny bit,
because he's not who we're seeing constantly throughout.
No.
Exactly, yeah.
I had somewhere I was going with that.
You've also got like the documentary like director.
The
and,
director
camera
starts
stuff.
breaking the fourth wall and showing
very
I
much
love
like
the director.
he is a great character
Because he is basically the biggest fanboy of this actress and is like, I will insert myself in this fan fiction style and
Yes.
save the day.
I kind of loved that because this is a fucking wild comparison, but there's like a direct to DVD like Lion King movie where that's the premise of like they get Timon and Pumbaa and they insert them into other scenes from the Lion King where they very clearly weren't there,
Oh.
and like they're sort of interacting. It's like as from what I hear, it's like a good movie. I haven't actually seen it, but I've seen parts of it, and it's just like it's a more comedic sort of retelling of like the first Lion King movie, and it reminded me so much of that. It was weird.
Yeah, that is an odd that's almost like the time you compared Ghost in the Shell to the Bee movie.
Yes.
Like it's such a I get what you're saying, but it's such an odd comparison that I don't know where to go with that.
I couldn't help but think that.
Yeah.
I get it. He was a nice, I think, comedic relief, but not in a haha, way more in a aw.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Oh, that's
he
nice.
sort of showed up to help, like, because there's times where you kind of feel like the story's straying into a bit of an aimless direction
Yeah.
where we're just going through the story from the movie, but we don't really, there's no real point to that. And then
Yeah.
he'll kind of show up as a character that'll move it along, which is obviously he's the interviewer, so
Yeah.
that's what he's there to do, is to push it along.
All right, Miss Lady, get back on track now.
He's like, I love this movie, but I'm gonna have to move you the fuck along to the point.
And just little off jokes like, you're not wearing the right, like, period clothes.
I don't care.
The cameraman's great because he's just there like, I don't know what the fuck is
How
going
the
on.
fuck is this happening?
Cameraman isn't getting paid enough for this shit.
No.
Cameraman gets close to death at least 10 times.
Oh yeah.
I love the scene where he becomes a reference to Akira Kurosawa's film Throne of Blood, which in the ending sequence, Toshiro Mifune comes out onto the balcony and there's a bunch of arrows fired at him. And I think in real life there was no warning behind that, and so the fear you see in him is like genuine. And it happens to the cameraman, and I'm like, what an odd way to make a reference to such an iconic Japanese movie.
They saw an opportunity and they took
And they took it, yeah.
Because we also have the recurring, like, ghostly creature.
Yes,
Which
who
I
really
am-
breaks the fourth wall a bunch of times.
Yeah, I think her role to me is a bit confusing. Maybe on a
Yeah.
rewatch I'd understand it better.
At
but-
first she shows up, and I think she's either a continuing reference originally where she shows up to Throne of Blood again, or another Kurosawa movie that I've seen half of, which one I don't remember. Something to do with spiders in the original title.
Spider-Man?
No,
Japanese Spider-Man. Come on.
no, we're not talking about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
On next episode.
Give it time. Give it time.
Maybe the April
What was I
Fool's
talking
special.
about?
The Ghost
Anyway,
Lady.
The Ghost Lady. Yeah, so she shows up in context of that movie to sort of act as like throwing a curse on the, Chiyoko's character. But then she continues to show up, and at first it's just sort of, you think it's somehow part of every movie she's in.
Yeah.
And then when she loses the key, in that scene, it suddenly, like, it breaks the scene, so you realize that she's seeing this in real life, and you're like, I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't know if it's maybe her subconscious, like, hatred for herself for continuing to...
I sort of saw it as like near the end of the movie, there was a part of me that was like, is she supposed to represent the older version of herself looking back and being like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that?
Yeah, because there is a point where I think it's when they're shooting the space one, and she's like in the cockpit, and then the earthquake happens, and she looks in her reflection after like it's all done, and it warps into the old woman. But I think you also sort of see a little bit of older Chiyoko before it fully like transitions into the old woman. So I think it is maybe her either looking back, she has some self-loathing over how she kind of followed through her life, or it's a constant thing that she's always been dealing with, is that underlying am I doing the right thing because I'm chasing after someone who I don't
think
know
I'll ever see again.
Yeah, I mean, we also still just have the question, did she knew he died? Because at the end, she says, now I can continue chasing after him.
Yes, she knew. She probably knew, but she was never told.
Yeah, because it was clear that they mentioned, like, she didn't, no one told her he died.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just, well, so much time has passed, he's probably died.
I mean, when she's on her deathbed and he was already, let's face it, bit of a pedophile.
Yeah.
He was an older guy.
He was
She was
older.
like, what, 16, 17?
That's pushing it, I think, even.
I think she was maybe 13, 14.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It was a situation.
Yes.
Yes.
Yikes.
I mean, also, manipulative director husband who's like, if I just take...
Also, he is scarily older than her as well.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to say it's almost normal in Hollywood, but...
It kind of is. I mean, there's the whole thing of Leonardo DiCaprio being back in the cycle of
because a girl over
regurgitated
23, who wants that? Who wants
well,
that?
apparently it's something to do with now that he's with like a 19-year-old or something. Or...
Jesus fuck.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that because that's a whole can of worms.
It's not for Anime Lane to discuss.
No, it's not, and I
This
wouldn't
will
talk
be a
about it on
special
that.
episode.
Yeah, to be thrown in the vault and just never released.
But yeah, the director...
Yes.
Yeah, the director guy.
Asshole.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Asshole.
Very
Very,
much a dick.
manipulative.
Manipulative.
Because, like, he was responsible-ish for taking the key.
Yes.
And he was like, well, she's obsessing over this key. If I just take it.
Yeah, I think it was his idea, because the way Eiko puts it is that she played the thief,
Exactly.
Yeah.
but he masterminded it. And she felt... she doesn't say she feels bad about going along with it, but she says she shouldn't have done that despite being like absolutely hating Chiyoko as a person.
Yeah.
Which,
She didn't...
considering how long they've known each other by the point that comes up, should have been dealt with way before that.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
God. Yeah.
Y'all got issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, men ain't shit.
We're not.
We're really not.
But yeah, she knew when she was dying that he would have been dead.
Yeah.
I think the director thinks that she thinks he was still alive because he says that the police officer told him when he showed up and gave her the letter that he, obviously tortured him to the point of death and that he regretted that and blah, 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 but he never told Chiyoko.
Yeah.
So he's been assuming she doesn't know, but obviously she's old as fuck, so...
Yeah.
Sort of a good guess.
Yeah.
At this point, it'd be a miracle if he was.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially, he's older, so...
Yes, he would have been, what, a good 10, 15, 20 possibly years older than her.
Yeah,
We don't really
much?
get like a good look of...
No,
No.
I would have said like 7, 8 years. I don't know.
I
think
was
so.
thinking like
his
around
face.
10 years plus.
Yeah, at least. But yeah, he was dead either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like that end scene where she's like, I can continue to chase after him, which was just very nice because even though she sort of doubted the feelings she had for him, and as much as we've just, taken absolute piss out of it being a little bit weird,
Yeah.
it is nice that kind of remained for her.
Yeah.
Because, she fell in love with the idea of him more than him himself.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was sort of what I wanted to say about the film, is that it's not so much a movie about romance, but about romanticism.
Yeah.
Infatuation?
No, romanticism. You romanticize the idea of
yeah,
stuff. And it's like that, like you say about movies. It romanticizes the idea of the making of the movies, even if there's conflicts and there's weird people and downright assholes. She does romanticize it to a large degree, which is maybe what the tag should have been instead of romance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, it's too late now.
I think it's I don't want to say understandable feeling, but you know, if you have a crush on someone and you can like imagine yourself dating them, I think that's kind of what she was striving.
Yes,
to get.
we've all been there.
We have all been there. And it's kind of like, I don't want to say endearing to see
it's
her
relatable.
It's relatable in a way. Maybe a bit excessive.
Yeah, when you're in your late 60s, maybe early 70s, still.
I'll find him. It's like,
Yeah,
you will, Grandma. Yeah, you will.
At some point, you gotta move on.
Yeah. But I think you can almost admire her dedication to this strange man, older man.
Dedication or obsession?
Again,
Yeah.
infatuation.
But infatuation fades. Obsessions stay.
Obsessive infatuation.
Obsessive infatuation.
There, I fixed it.
But I think you brought up an interesting point with like, oh, the ghost is her older her being like, you should have not done this and lived life a little more, because she probably did spend too much fucking time.
She wouldn't have become an actress if she didn't chase after him, basically.
Yeah.
I am the ghost of your future. Girl, get out. For the love of God. It's the message of the movie right there. Girl, get out.
Girl, stop it.
Stop.
Get a fucking grip, girl.
Pull yourself together.
Girl.
A romance movie.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, but it's, you know, I think it's mostly story about like, as I interpret it, you know, chasing after something else. And those initial butterflies you get, you know. I think that it's not, we don't really see much romance. The only
No.
So
even the relationships we do see on screen
Are kind of terrible.
Yeah.
like the relationship between Jioku and the director is more developed
Yes.
than any other.
Yeah.
Best relationship in the movie is the documentary director and cameraman.
Yes.
Yes.
I love the little bit at the beginning of the movie where they're walking up the like mountain and the cameraman's like, why the fuck are we doing this? She's an old woman, and he throws like a pencil case or something at him.
He does this like the anime like slow motion backwards.
But I love the way it's cut, because it's like everything between him throwing it and it landing on him is gone. So you just hear whoosh and just see it hit.
That was good. I love that.
It's such a good little, like, you can't do stuff like that in like live action. Like you can't just take that out and then have it
Bonk.
Bonk.
Oh yeah, I think introducing those characters early as like hee hee funny was a good idea.
Yeah.
So otherwise it would have been very depressing if we opened up on like, here's the sad old lady who is alone.
Yeah, I think it also...
She has a maid. Is she a maid?
I think so.
Home help.
One of those. Also, what the fuck is up with the earthquakes?
Japan.
I mean,
Yeah, Japan.
That's kind of their thing.
Japan and earthquakes are an iconic duo.
Yeah, because they make it like, oh, with the key has a connection to the earthquakes.
Look, all I'm going to say is Fukushima. And
Dude likes his earthquakes. Rumble, rumble.
I also like that the beginning of the film also kind of establishes the reality bending part of it, because you see her and that scene play out where she's getting on the ship, and then you realize he's watching it and reciting the lines along with it.
Yeah.
And then an earthquake happens. Earthquakes happen at very convenient points of this movie.
They're tied to her life, man.
Yes.
She
is Mother Nature.
She was born during an earthquake.
I don't
she
think
died.
she's a mother of anything.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
That's a quintessential point of the movie, I think.
Yeah. Mother of cinema.
Oh God. Have we said what we could say about this one?
I think we have.
It's definitely something I'd recommend if you're into
yeah.
little niche.
I'd recommend a watch.
I wouldn't say it's romance.
No, like I said, like I don't know why it's tagged like that, and I put it on the list, fully aware that I didn't think it was quite the traditional, romantic movie.
Yeah, because as we said, it has hints of like a crush, a feeling, but it's not resolved, so it's kind of.
I mean, I'd say that the
empty.
resolution is that she goes to him in the afterlife, I suppose, in a way.
We hope.
We hope.
We hope.
The what's that phrase? The chase is often more rewarding than the goal, or something.
It's
like
something
that.
like that. Yeah.
That is what it means. I don't know what the actual one
I
is.
can't think what the actual phrase is. Yeah. But that's kind of
The thrill of the hunt.
The thrill of the hunt.
Ish.
Let's not. He was definitely experiencing the thrill of the hunt.
Oh yeah.
And she was just kind of acting and like, well, we're shooting in the city over, so I'll just head over there.
Yeah.
Get right on over there.
Oh, you're shooting in Manchuria? Sure, I'll be an actress.
I'm an actress, sure. Because it is that easy.
It is that easy.
I know my lines.
Yeah. Just say the lines, that's all.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
They'll come natural.
Yeah.
So, scores.
I'd say 7.5.
Yeah, fair.
I was gonna give just a straight 7, personally.
This is where I sound like the weird one. I obviously liked it more on the second go round.
Mm-hmm.
And I was interested because I was like, I don't remember what I rated this the first time on my anime list. So I checked it. And apparently I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Ooh.
Huh.
But I think that's just because of like how well Satoshi Kon does everything, even if the movie itself doesn't click with me. So I think I'm going to stick with that score.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because I liked it more on the second go round. I think that's a fair score from a not a structural point of view, but like a technical point of view.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like it was
absolutely.
very well crafted. You could tell. Because just thinking of having to write that, it must have been a chaotic
Oh,
nightmare.
100%.
Like to be like, okay, so we're on the set of this, but we're transported to this room.
It's also not based on anything either.
So you have no point to hold on to.
So that's
God.
very rare for stuff we've covered. I think the only one coming to mind would be Hello World that's not based on anything prior. Because obviously Lupin, manga, Galaxy Express, manga. Most stuff's based on manga or light novels. Penguin Highway's the same. Whereas this and most of Satoshi Kon's movies are
Completely original.
completely original.
Hats off to him. That's very impressive.
Would have been an absolute nightmare to write and storyboard.
Just
and
think of pitching it as well.
I don't think he had to pitch that, to be honest.
I mean, I don't think you have to pitch it to get funding, but you have to pitch an idea before you create it.
I don't think he had to. He directed this coming off the back of, I think just off the back of Perfect Blue, because I think Paprika came after this, and then Tokyo Godfathers was his last movie. And yeah, pretty much he had that much impact with Perfect Blue that
Influence.
he just got to do.
I mean, good. He proved himself worthy.
Yeah, because there's an interview with the producers on the Blu-ray and they were like, yeah, we were on the project anyway. We didn't know what it was. We just wanted to work with Kon, and that and I'm like,
Cool.
Oh, he did just have that free reign.
That must be nice, though.
It would have been
Yeah.
kind of like Quentin Tarantino, but someone needs to rein him the fuck in now.
Someone needs to beat his ass.
Yeah, sadly, Kon is obviously passed now. He only ever directed 4 movies. We've covered one. We've mentioned this one.
Oh, it's this one.
This
Yes,
is the one
we're going to be
currently
covering
talking about.
Perfect Blue. We've mentioned Paprika, but we'll get to Paprika and Tokyo Godfathers eventually.
Okay.
Okay.
Probably within this year, just because obviously he doesn't have many, so it's easy to just.
Could
Throw
you just
them
go
in
through?
there.
Yeah.
You've seen Paprika
Years ago.
years ago,
Yes.
but you've seen it.
Yes.
So you know that when I say he likes to play with reality,
Yeah.
I'm very much telling the truth.
Yes.
Anyway, Tokyo Godfathers, the final movie that we had to watch for Kon.
And the actual Christmas related
The
thing
actual
in this Christmas
related thing in this
special.
Christmas special. Merry
La la
Christmas,
la
guys.
la 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 la.
I think this is possibly tied for my favorite movie from Kon. it's tough because Perfect Blue is the other one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend last night, and it's like, it's hard because Kon doesn't have a bad movie.
No.
He just has, to me, Paprika, where I'm like, eh.
Yeah, Paprika's the closest for me.
The lowest in terms of like how much no, it's hard to put into words because it's like, it's not a bad movie.
It's
I
not
did
bad.
not enjoy it.
There's just some things about it where I'm like, eh.
Yeah, it
feels like it was overboard in Paprika for me.
I think it's his weakest, but it's not at all his like. It's not at all like a bad movie.
Yeah, like there's so much worse you could.
Oh
watch
yeah,
than Paprika.
we have watched worse. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But I think Tokyo Godfathers being his most grounded and like kind
most
of
close to
straightforward,
reality.
Yeah.
Definitely the sanest. Yeah.
It made it like just such a joy to watch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was such a
Especially-
fun movie.
Yeah.
Even though there's some not fun elements.
And for it being more grounded, like it wasn't kind of like dialed back from his sense of editing or animating things. Like
His humor
characters.
was still very much
Yeah,
there.
very much. I noticed it with Jin in like the last 20 minutes when he finally picks himself up a bit and like gets like a sort of motivation. He becomes a lot more like a Kon character.
Yeah.
Which I loved. It was great.
Yeah,
That was good
'cause
to
he
see sort of
suddenly-
develop.
He's very animate at that point, and
Yeah.
you know, the way he's animated kind of reflects that
Yeah.
as well. He's very fluid.
At that point, he's got to get da baby.
Da baby.
Da baby.
So I watched this one with Manuel because it had Godfathers in the title. I was like, yeah, I'll watch that.
Fucking, I'm not.
Oh, I'm not going there.
And so, like, 15 minutes in, he just went, this is not what I was expecting.
No.
No.
Then the wedding sequence happened.
Did
and he
you
was
not
like,
give him the
"Huh?"
synopsis that we
No,
put
I-
on Trello?
I go in blind. I did show him, like, it's from the director of Perfect Blue and Paprika. Was
Did
like,
you
"Oh, I
not
like
show him
this."
the poster that's on the Trello
Yeah.
page?
Yes. I showed him.
And he still thought it'd be a mafia movie?
Yes.
I mean, there was crime syndicates
There
at one
was,
point,
but
Yeah, and like, so in the wedding scene, we were both like, huh?
it's
Huh?
very
Is
likely
it happening? Yeah, but that's not the focus.
No.
Can I just say, just to go into this right now, the Spanish guy in that who showed stuff, he disappears. He disappears after that. We spend more time with his mum, his wife.
Yeah.
His wife.
Well, wife.
I remember watching it and I just messaged Shaun randomly like, well, I couldn't have expected this, and just sent him a gift that was like, well, I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah,
I was
to which-
happy
no,
to have Manuel next to me, who was like, "Oh, that's the husband." She just said, "That's the husband, and that's the father."
The parts that we could all very easily understand the
duh.
context.
we got that. I know what madre means.
Yeah. Those were the words I recognized.
Yeah.
The rest of it, I was
That's
like,
high school Spanish that we learn and remember.
oh my god.
I just find it funny how like it's the Spanish like crime like gangster guy that's introduced first and then he disappears the moment they enter that house and we
Yeah.
spend more time
Yeah.
with the wife.
And
Yeah.
you never see him even when like
he's-
Miyuki leaves or anything.
He's
like
gone. He
Yeah.
faded out.
Yeah.
Wow.
that. And it never really comes up why he tried to kill.
No, well they say it was like it's like a rival crime syndicate thing on like the radio, but like it's not confirmed. or
I don't
anything.
really get that at all though, because
No.
if he was part of a crime syndicate, it doesn't look like he's part of one where he's living and stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know.
Ugh. I just love the interaction with what's her name? I don't want Miyuki. Her interactions with him, as in he's just kind of talking to her, and
like-
she's just responding both Japanese and broken English.
I love
Please.
I love the fact that this guy is speaking to her in confident Spanish as if she's going to know. Like she should just know, even though he's in Japan and she's a Japanese woman. And he's so confused, like, why don't you speak Spanish? And it's like, because this is Japan.
I mean,
My
working in a hotel with certain nationalities, there are some that will just show up and start rambling at you. Like, what?
I'm so sorry, sir.
It's very unintentional, but I do find it funny where like he's like dragged her out of the hotel and they're like standing outside and he just suddenly looks at her and starts speaking and the subtitles just suddenly go Spanish. And I'm like, yeah,
Back subtitles.
I guess.
Yeah, I immediately just turned to my mom. What?
Who's Italian.
Yeah, but he speaks Spanish.
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
did not know. I do like that they don't translate it because it does
Same.
kind of make you feel like Miyuki in the sense that you don't understand what's happening, but it does go on a lot longer than it should.
Yeah, it goes on for a bit.
Yeah.
I like the wife character though. She's nice.
Yeah.
It's so fun. She just says, "Baby, I give."
Yeah,
I help.
The
Like,
first time we see
baby.
her, she's breastfeeding the
Yeah.
baby, which is like, okay. And then Miyuki's just like, big tits.
booby.
At that point, I'm like, Miyuki, not now. Not here.
For fuck's sake.
It's breastfeeding. Come on.
So then the camera pulled out and I went, I've seen bigger.
Why?
Come on.
I'm going to say I'm going to say smartly silent at this point.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, it's a fun movie and very kind of like emotionally grounded.
Yeah.
I mean, I just really like Satoshi Kon's stuff. I think he just does it really well. You introduce like the religious aspect of it
Yeah, like right and
right in the middle, and as soon as they find the baby, I'm like, oh god.
that first shot of the fucking baby Jesus. Like I start the movie like you messed me like, oh, this is the same movie, just prepping me up and stuff. I start and then I immediately send like a screen cap of that like fake Jesus baby, and I'm like terrified, screaming.
Like, what in the Oh, literally him.
Yeah, I said, what in
literally
the sweet Jesus is? Oh, it's actually Jesus
Oh
himself.
my god, it's him.
Literally Jesus moment.
Literally Jesus.
I mean, they sprinkle the religious bits here
Yeah,
and there.
Even though it has fuck all to do with it.
Hannah is just convinced this is a child of God.
Can I say, by the way, we stand a queen.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I love Hannah.
Love
She
Hannah.
is amazing. Also, the fact that they call in the subtitles they call Grandma Geezer.
Yeah.
Geezer grandma.
Geezer
Yeah.
Grandma. I'm like, weirdly, I kind of think that's adorable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Which
usually
even
Miyuki,
points-
Miyuki that's saying that. Isn't it?
Yeah,
So-
which
Yeah.
Miyuki, which Hannah points out when Miyuki suddenly starts calling her Hannah-san. She's like, no,
No, that's not
I'm
how
your
we
geezer
work.
grandma.
yeah.
Come on.
Go
This
back.
is not a dynamic.
Go
I'm
back.
supposed
This
to be
ain't you.
angry.
Even though it's meant to be a very sweet kind of transition.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm very glad that was done relatively well.
Yeah.
Because I saw the date that this movie came out, and like
Same.
right when I realized it was a transgender character, I was like, oh, this could be a really good
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's done very well.
I think it's that Kon just kind of always treats everyone as human.
Yeah.
And you can even see that in, like, the Spanish characters. They're not, like, vilified.
Yeah, they're not stereotypes or
No,
anything.
they're just people trying to get by, and we kind of see
Yeah.
that, and it's, they're. I think I watched. There's an introduction thing on the Blu-ray that I kind of watched, and it's mentions like undocumented, which is never really kind of specified in the movie. I was like, okay, it kind of makes
Yeah.
sense. And given Japan being Japan, I was
Yeah.
expecting, okay, this is gonna get.
Yeah.
And then that never really happened. Everyone's kind of treated with proper kind of
Yeah.
like dignity of
Which is very much in the
person.
Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
Which makes this
Christmas.
again
Respect it.
a really good Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No KFC.
No KFC. Sorry.
I was expecting it.
Same.
I was
same. I was very disappointed.
I also really liked how they did the opening credits,
Mm,
where it was just kind of
yeah.
scattered on like billboards, and I was like, why don't we see that more often?
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's so fun.
Very diegetic way of doing
Yeah, I was gonna say I
Yeah.
don't know if you can apply that to like something that isn't sound, but it's very diegetic way
Yeah,
of doing
yeah.
it. Yeah.
The end credits thing with like the buildings dancing was a bit weird though. I'm gonna
Yeah, that kind of caught me off guard. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is Paprika. What's going on?
Yeah, I was gonna say this is Colin really trying to get that out of his system while he can.
Yeah.
We need more dancing buildings.
That's the part where he like takes like a line. Make the buildings dance.
They shall wiggle.
Yeah, like he's been off at the entire movie,
Yeah.
and then right at the end, because it's Christmas, they're like, okay, you can have one.
The producer's just watching it like, wow, you made a normal movie. And he's like, hold up.
They dance.
Let's do this.
Gonna fucking dance.
I love you, Con.
Yeah. Sadly, I think I mentioned that he's no longer
Yeah.
with us. He passed away in 2010 of cancer, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, 4 movies.
He made some great movies.
Yeah.
Like he left a really good legacy behind,
Yeah.
I think.
Again, Perfect Blue, literally perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It only just edges out this movie for me, I think.
Same.
But I'd have to rewatch Perfect Blue to really be fully confident.
Yeah.
I think.
I think in a sense of like, Perfect Blue is like the better movie, but I think in terms of rewatchability, Tokyo Godfathers is slightly...
It's more fun. It's less
it's
grueling.
less sort of,
yeah. It's not like sitting yourself down and torturing yourself for 90 minutes.
Yeah. I try to cut back on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the runtime I think is really good. Because there's some anime we've watched where I think it drags a bit.
We have talked about that. There's some anime that I think we talk about it goes on too long, and it feels like it should be cut down a bit. And then on the other side, there's anime that we think could maybe be extended a little bit.
Yeah.
But this one felt like the right amount. I think for like this story.
Definitely.
Because it just feels like such a, happy family Christmas movie.
Yeah.
You're watching this family of misfits.
Yeah.
And it's just sweet. It's the type of film you'd put on and watch with your family on Christmas.
It's like the perfect sort of Christmassy sort of message as well. Like it doesn't matter that they're like, well, it sucks that they're homeless, obviously, but like
everyone
they're
kinda
still
all finds their own family again
Yeah.
during
Yeah.
it. So I like to think that Miyuki goes home with her dad. Gin goes back to his daughter, and Hannah goes back to the bar.
the sort of the Angel Tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole scene was great, but
I love that.
The way they introduces him with Jin almost dying, and he's like, "An angel. Would you like me to call an ambulance, or you want to come with me?"
He's like, ambulance.
Fucking rude.
yeah. The moment it got to the line where I was like, would you like my magic or like an ambulance? I was like, do angels offer ambulance?
Yes.
That's just a standard miracle.
That's where I was like, Satoshi Kon, we are in real life. Don't start.
So, yeah, at that point, I was like, if it was an actual angel, I was like, okay, this is too far.
But the wind catching
Yeah.
at the end is...
Okay, that's funny, though.
That is funny.
Because it's like 3 different characters have almost fallen at that point, and then Hannah's falling. It's like God himself is just like, would you all just stop fucking falling? Christ.
I'm a little sad that at the end, apparently, the parents didn't keep the name Kyoko.
Yeah.
I mean, what if they already had a name picked
Yeah,
out?
But the baby got stolen, so
Look,
Yeah.
no, I got the rationality behind it, so I accepted it, but I was still a little disappointed.
Yeah.
Also, Jen's daughter's also named Kyoko. I think.
Yes.
No, it was the wife that was named.
No,
What?
it was
no,
the
it's the
daughter.
daughter because he ran into the daughter who's a nurse.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
thought it was-
yeah.
No, it's because of the line earlier where they said, like, what was your wife named Kyoko or something?
No.
That's what Miyuki says to him, but
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
confused.
Or got dumped by someone named Kyoko, I think.
Yeah.
But it turns out it was his daughter, which is mentioned at that point where he's like, I was a racer.
No, yeah, sure you were.
Yeah, sure.
Fucking sure.
Yeah.
I was
at
at
the track.
the races.
I was at the track.
Yeah, betting.
Again, Satoshi Kon, he does the stuff where you really think something's happening, and then he just pulls a rug from under you. He's like, psych!
Yeah, because he's like, his daughter's like, mum ran the shop when you were gone. And they're just like, shop? He's like, yeah, bike shop. And they're like,
And I was just
Huh?
like, the fuck?
And fucking gotcha. Got the halls of YouTube KFP
This
laughs.
bitch ass man said you were dead to get 70 points!
I love how Hannah's just calling him the
Yeah.
fuck out right
Yeah,
now.
but like she also said, "Oh no, it's gonna be fine," because if she's truly
Yeah.
his daughter,
Yeah.
she'll forgive
She's
him.
being the blue demon.
Yeah,
That's a great story, by the way,
that
that got
was
dropped
a
in right
really
now.
nice bit. Yeah,
I was surprised that came up because I was watching it. I'm like, oh yeah, this Japanese kind of like fairy tale type.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
It's like very much like the moral type of
Yeah.
kind of thing we'd get told in like nursery. and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
that's
that.
exactly the vibe I got when it was being told.
So it's very prevalent in some other anime and stuff, and then it came up in this. And I was like, oh okay, I guess.
it did feel a bit. I don't want to say rushed, but like they're pulling at strings a bit to make it
Yeah.
make sense.
It's Christmas.
Yeah,
You
like,
gotta do that.
Again, it wasn't to a point where I was like, Jesus Christ, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
But it just pulls you out of it a tiny bit, I'd say.
I thought it was sweet.
I think it's
sweet,
nice,
yeah.
but it's just an odd explanation for it. I think they could have maybe just let it lie
Let it sit,
after.
Yeah, but because if she just said, if if she's a daughter of her father, she'll forgive him. I'd be
fair
like,
this
oh,
way.
it shows Jin, and he's a very forgiving man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could have been enough. But I still liked it.
Yeah, I still like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
too. It did kind of remind me of Darling in the Franxx for a second, and we'll get to that in the next episode we record.
Great.
I look forward to it.
Also, I'll call it the ending sequence-ish, where Crazy Mama...
Oh, yeah. The climax.
The climax, yeah.
yeah.
So, turns out who they thought was the mother stole the baby.
Yes, yeah.
Not mother.
Love that.
So just-
love that twist.
Amazing twist, because we had just, you get the story from two sides, and you're the knowing, like, reader, as they say.
Yeah,
The omniscient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh, no.
Please no.
And then Jin just says the line, she's going to kill herself. I'm, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this goes further than I wanted to.
I do like that, like, they chase her up the building and stuff, and it's like kind of building to the confrontation of like, why did you steal the baby?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I immediately went, oh, she miscarried.
Yeah.
late in term as well. Yeah.
And then, that is what happened. I was like, yep, that makes sense.
And like
It
in
makes-
the ward, she saw
yeah.
baby and she just sort of snapped.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to say, fair.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's understandable in terms of like a mind state, but like
Yeah.
it doesn't make it right.
No,
obviously,
it's
but-
not. We can't
Justify-
commend that behavior.
No.
It's
Yeah.
not conscionable. But
Stop it.
we get it.
Not cromulent.
Like,
It's not a cromulent act.
as soon as she stood on like the ledge holding a baby, I just had her. Surely they won't, right?
I was worried about
I was
that.
terrified.
Yeah.
I was absolutely terrified.
I was
Because again,
like, Kon.
we know this man.
Yeah, I
he's
was like-
done some stuff in his
Yeah,
movies.
I was like,
Yeah.
Kon, you can't kill a baby. You can't kill the mother who miscarried.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see any of the main characters die.
So
had,
how
like-
did he solve this? Jesus, baby.
Jesus, baby, who
God.
starts talking. Which I'm gonna be honest,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the point where it took me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did the baby say again?
I want to go home.
I want to go home.
At that point, I was like, okay, you went too fucking far here.
I found that quite nice because it's clearly like in her deranged state of
Yeah,
mind.
for like
Absolutely.
it was more in like that split second where it felt like I didn't realize it was at 1st
Uh-huh.
and I was like, okay, you've got a bit too fucking
Yeah,
far here,
yeah.
mate. But
Because I don't think Miyuki
no,
sees
No,
that. I think it's very
absolutely
much
not,
like the
Yeah.
not mother's perspective of it, and she's like
Yeah.
clearly realizing, oh, I should not have done
oh,
this.
I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
Is it us? Are we the baddies?
Skulls on our helmets.
I kidnapped the baby. Doesn't mean I'm the baddie.
Am I the bad guy?
Are we the baddies?
I put a baby in a bin. Am I the bad guy here?
Nobody expects.
We're just throwing out references
We are.
now.
Look, Are We the Baddies is one of my favorite things.
Oh, it's so good. Skulls on our caps.
Yeah.
Guys don't have skulls on their caps.
Oh, I love David Mitchell.
He's great.
So
He's half the reason I watch Golding. Sorry.
Jesus, baby.
Yes,
Yeah.
Jesus baby.
There's
Or
a
not
lot of
Jesus, baby.
shit that is very close to killing these people.
Yes, and the
And
baby
we're-
apparently just.
Yeah, like, and I don't know, a van straight up drives full speed into a store.
Oh, the ambulance.
Oh, yeah.
The guy gets out, looks at them, and goes, "Call an ambulance."
This
You are the ambulance!
this fucking movie hates vehicles
Yeah.
so much because like about 20 minutes into the film we're like they're just like they first got the baby and like Hannah's like walking to like a crosswalk whatever, a couple just gets fucking decked by like a bike or whatever, never like focused on
No.
it, just happens.
I wonder if that's meant to show that like there's stuff going on around them, but unlike
doesn't
in
affect
other
them.
movies
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
that would affect them, it's like it's avoiding them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, Taxi Man.
Yeah,
Love Taxi
love
Man.
Oh,
Taxi
Taxi
Man.
Man's great.
Taxi Man just gets this bunch of misfits in his
Yes.
car and is like, what? Go, follow,
how
follow.
He's got two women yelling at him and he's like, okay.
I love how at the end of the movie they're in a completely different part of Tokyo, and he just
Yeah.
happens to pull up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's that kind
yeah.
of day.
Yeah.
It's a critique Manuel always has with films. It's like, how is everyone constantly running into each other?
Because it's Christmas.
Because plot.
Yeah,
Also,
I'm always
Jesus
like,
baby.
Jesus baby.
it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, exactly.
This is how it works.
It's a miracle.
It's a Christmas miracle.
This movie hates vehicles so much. Like, every
yeah.
vehicle in this movie gets fucking destroyed at some point.
Yeah.
Tokyo is fucked.
Yeah, there's another truck that Crazy Mama steals.
Yes.
Yeah.
That gets driven into a
Which,
building.
I'm pretty sure for
again.
trucks like that, you need like a separate license because they don't drive the same.
She didn't she just took the car.
Yeah, Michael, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think she cares.
No, but like in the sense that like the cars don't even function.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the same.
I think primary function is the same. It's just things, you have a longer body that you got to worry about.
I guess.
It's just safety things you got to know. If you press the gas, it'll go forward.
Again, I don't think she cares.
That's true. Yeah, she does just barrel down there. She almost kills Geen like twice.
Yeah.
Fucking respect. Is it Geen? Because I keep wanting to say Jen.
I think it's Geen the way they pronounce it.
Okay, the way Geen is like just becomes the action hero at the end. And is like holding on to the truck, almost getting like squashed and everything.
Well, that's the thing because his bike gets fucking wrecked. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Surely
where
don't.
is he?
Like at that
Just
point,
deflecting a blood smear.
at that point, I'm like, okay, you're made of plasticine now.
Yeah. And then he gets fucking thrown from it when it goes into the building and like cracks himself on like a gold railing.
He's fine.
And he's fine.
He's fine.
He's got the baby.
He's got
Yeah.
the baby. The baby.
His only weakness is getting like kicked around by teenagers, but that's it.
Yeah, that's the only
Yeah.
time he ends up. Which again, is that meant to show that the baby's protecting him because he gets pretty fucked up? I don't know.
I think it just shows the
I think I'm
teenagers are
overthinking
assholes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can say that as a former teenager.
I love that Jin is basically, your parent with the pet they said they didn't want.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want this pet. It's like, this pet is now my baby.
Yeah.
He's like, I hate this child. Can we please bring it to a police station I must save the baby.
Yeah.
I do love how they sort of sprinkle in that like at near the beginning where like it's Miyuko that's like getting like something and like she runs into like two guys and they're like, oh, we don't want to like tussle with you because then Jin will like be on us because
Yeah.
No, I think it's Hannah that they're worried about.
I thought it was Jin.
No, I think it's Hannah, which
swear.
makes way more sense.
Oh, I thought it was Jin.
Nah, I'm pretty sure they say it's Hannah.
Okay,
I mean, they're known as a family on the street, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, don't mess with the fam.
don't mess with them.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Hannah because Hannah's very much the more
Violent.
I guess that's one way to put it. I was gonna say vocal.
No, violent works.
Yeah, violent does work.
Passionate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just Hannah's character is so sweet to me.
Oh,
Just like,
yeah.
I just want a baby.
Yeah.
just want to
She
have a
just
little
want baby.
I love from the opening where like they're standing getting the food, and it's like they're talking about having a baby and stuff like that, and the woman serving them, Hannah just kind of like starts going off, and she's like, and then later when they have the baby, they're in like the subway, and the woman's coming down like the escalator after they like run away, and
That's
she's
the
like,
same woman.
that's her.
she
Okay.
like fucking snaps her neck, and she's like, it's a miracle.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Okay, that's what that
It's
was. I didn't
so
catch it.
quick. It is so quick.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's great. It's a great
It's- it's
I
callback.
almost
wonder
the
what that
same-
scene was because that
Yeah.
just seemed out of place
It's
for
the
me.
same as Miyuki just seeing her dad
Oh,
on the
yeah.
train next to me. Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh shit!
I was watching that and I was like, I was kind of thinking of watching this with my mum because it'd been like a Christmas movie
Yeah.
and stuff. And like, but there's always that thing with anime where it's like, well, it could be,
It could take a turn.
Yeah,
it could take a
exactly.
turn. It could be a bit harder to understand than
Yeah.
the average movie.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then also that scene popped up and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm glad it didn't because my mum can't keep an internal monologue. So any questions she has,
Oh, it's a who's that?
Oh,
yeah, she
boy.
would have been like, is that her dad? And I'm like, I don't know. Even though I'm thinking inside, like, that's her dad.
Yeah,
That's,
Oh, I immediately just went, Papa.
the screams, Papa.
Papa.
I can still hear the screams, Papa. It's my favorite. What the fuck, John Trunk? I had that moment where I was like, is that gonna be the dad? And then she turns around and starts freaking out. I was like, oh, that's the dad. That's
Yeah.
Climbs out a fucking window.
yeah. I'm gonna be honest, that whole scene, it's like the tension is like you feel more and more claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Like, it cuts
Yeah.
to the dad and like who's calling, like I'm guessing the mum or something, or like
I
the
think
police.
so, yeah.
But like
He is the police.
shit, he is.
I am the
I am the police. But
call an ambulance. I am.
yeah, ambulance. But like then the babe, you've got the baby like crying her like her eyes out. You've got like people like going like that because everybody's stinking
Yeah.
and stuff. And like at that point, I'm like, yeah, I want to get out of this fucking train too.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that like trains in Japan at the best of times are pretty packed.
Yeah.
So they're already claustrophobic. Like,
Yeah.
And then you add everything going on
and
in
they're
that
stuck
scene.
because of the snow, so you
Yeah.
can't go anywhere.
Yeah, like even in my mind, I was like, oh girl, you gotta get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been there. You know, you're stuck in a bus, and there's just either someone so loud, so annoying,
And
or
it's
there's
too
just
much,
and you're
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I am so tempted to just get off and take the next one.
I'm tempted to smash open this window and jump out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's also when you're sitting next to the emergency exit and you're like, there's the like, break glass in case of
can just
emergency
see it.
thing, and
You're
you're
just-
like,
Is this technically an emergency?
Can I justify this as an emergency?
Can I justify this in court?
yeah. Or it's
Yeah.
like the buses that have like the weird kind of like handlebar thing where like during emergency you kind of like push and it opens
yeah,
out,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
just sitting there like,
Do it.
It's even if I have a stop button next to me, I could be in the middle of nowhere. I'll look at it and be like, could just get up. And
yeah.
just remove myself
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the situation.
I've had that on Journey's Back from here.
Kids are scary.
Yeah. Anyway.
So what a wholesome Christmas movie.
That was a great
Yeah.
movie. I said to you that I'm almost tempted to put this in my annual Christmas movie rotation because it's really good.
I was kind of wondering like how Christmassy of a Christmas movie is this, because it's like, you know, there's Christmas movies that people are like, you know, Die Hard or
Yeah, it's not Christmas.
no,
It's
like
fucking
a
Batman
set-
Returns.
It's like it's set at Christmas, but it's not
Yeah.
necessarily a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's not
Sometimes
about
it's just
Christmas.
the vibe.
Yeah. Whereas this one is like a bona fide Christmas
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Like the whole message, the whole story, the underlying, you know,
Starts
stuff.
with Jeebus.
Yeah, it's all very,
Yeah.
you know, Christmas movie.
Like the moment it starts with like the fucking nativity at the beginning, you're like, okay, this is gonna be a full-on
Yeah.
Christmas movie.
And I don't think it's because we've talked about trying to do a Christmas episode. And we were like, there's
It's
Christmas
hard.
specials,
Yeah.
but then you'd have to watch the show.
Yeah.
So it was very nice, actually.
Yeah.
exactly.
Because the thing with like Japan, Christmas isn't, you know, the same thing as it is here for in
As you can
Japan.
imagine, yeah.
Christmas is more like a couples thing for the most
Yeah.
part.
Sort of
Families
like a prior Valentine's Day sort of thing.
a little bit. I think it's more
not
just
quite, but, you
yeah. I think it's more just like a good time for couples to get together,
Go out and get KFC.
go out, get KFC, get all lovey dovey, work
Romance
off the
is
calories.
KFC.
Yeah. Hey, for some couples it works.
Yeah. But it's way more of like a kind of commercial thing, and you know the country doesn't stop for it either, where like it does in the UK and the US and stuff.
Again, you can imagine.
Yeah, because it's, you know, it's a totally different belief system over there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So it means
They weren't
that,
indoctrinated.
Like, yeah, so it means
Christians.
finding Christmas movies or Christmas anime from Japan is very difficult. There's a lot of like, especially with romance animes, like Christmas episodes, where it's all about, you know, oh, we're gonna
Let's get the KFC.
KFC rarely comes up. I
finger
wanna
looking good.
I'm gonna fucking start beating the shit out of the Colonel soon.
That sounds like a
He's
euphemism.
an elderly man.
I don't care. Have you seen him? He's fucking jacked.
Have we all seen? Is it who plays the? Oh my god! There was this short film released on YouTube.
Have I seen
with
this?
The sexy Colonel.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. Yeah.
Did you say Colonel?
Colonel.
Colonel.
Colonel. I know
It's a
it's spelled
difficult word
colonel,
for me.
but
It's not. You just replaced the L with an R.
But it's
Colonel.
Colonel.
yeah, but that's like popcorn kernels to me.
That's the way it's meant to be
I know,
pronounced.
it's-
I know
Meant to
it's
be.
stupid, but you just gotta go with it.
Fuck this language.
Oh, because your language is so much better.
Yeah.
No, your language is nonsense.
You call notes notities. You've got nothing to talk about.
But no titties.
But no titties. Titty food.
Tittyless.
Let me just take off my titty lips.
Just walk out. Wait, shit, I forgot.
Oh, fuck. I knew I forgot something today. Probably happened in an anime.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, my main point, to get back to it,
Yeah.
a lot of romance animes have like the Christmas episode where it's all about like, well, either there's the will they confess on Christmas, will they go on a date, will it work out, and will the friends fuck it up, or will they take it further? Will they hold hands?
You know.
in public?
In anime terms, will they hold hands?
Yeah, pretty much.
Too lewd.
But like in terms of centric stuff, it's very rare, and I really didn't know Tokyo Godfathers was a Christmas movie until like we were getting ready to watch it. There is like a Christmas OVA that I was gonna stick in at some point. I can't remember what it's called
Next
though.
Christmas.
Yeah,
It'll be
next year.
next Christmas. And it'll give me time to like hunt other things out. Maybe kind of just willing to pass on Christmas specials for Anime Lane at this point.
Tune in next year to see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll still be here.
Come hell or high water.
Hell or high water, yeah. So yeah, that was that's all of Kon's movies. All we've got left is
Yeah.
Paranoia Agent, which is a TV series. So we'll get to that at some point. But
Yeah,
I think everyone kind of thinks of Kon and thinks of the four, you know,
Yeah,
the
big four.
Millennium Actress, Tokyo Godfathers, and Paprika. So it's, you know, we've done it.
We've done it.
Feels
Yeah.
weird.
I'm a little sad there's nothing more to watch
Same,
from him.
absolutely.
Honestly, yeah.
Because he is a stellar filmmaker.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like even with Paprika, we've already said that's still a good movie.
Yeah.
Even just technically.
Exactly.
And I wonder if it's that catch-22. You know, he only made 4 movies, but they're all really good movies. But if he had made more and was still
Would they
alive
have
and still
sucked?
making movies, would they still be as good, or would we end up with Makoto Shinkai, where Suzumi wasn't
It wasn't quite
as
there.
good, and that's like his 6th or 7th movie, I think.
yeah.
So
Like at that point, you're like, you can stop now.
yeah, like it took him so long to build up, and then you had Your Name, and that was great, and then you had Weathering with You, which was also great, and then you had Suzumi, which was yeah,
Worms.
Your name and Weathering were so good. I actually got them on Blu-ray.
exactly, yeah, because the Christmas sales are going on right now. By the time this episode comes out, it won't be
Along
done.
with obviously a Lupin movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
and Promare.
Yeah, you got Promare, Lupin the first,
Yeah.
Weathering with You, and Your Name. I think that was
Yeah, that was
it,
all of them. Yeah. So I'm growing a collection.
You're
now.
getting there. You're getting there.
I still need to watch Berserk that you gifted me. Basically,
You do.
So scores.
Scores. This is tough.
I think I want to give it a 9.
I think I'm gonna give it a 9 as well.
7.5 for me.
Okay.
Why you gotta be so different, Melina?
That's interesting because I think Paprika's the only one you kind of gave like a low score
Yeah,
to
yeah.
for Kon movies.
I think I gave it like a 6. Didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, I'm comparing it to his other works as well, which I
Yeah.
really, really liked.
Yeah.
Millennium Actress and Perfect Blue.
Mm.
And then this one, I would rate just below those two.
It's
Okay,
funny
that's
because I
interesting.
would rate this I wouldn't say way higher, but pretty much significantly higher than I think like Millennium Actress.
Same.
Because I was a
Yeah.
bit more weaker on that.
Yeah, I think it's Perfect Blue, Tokyo Godfathers, Millennium Actress, Paprika.
Yeah,
I know
that's-
there's some
Yeah.
distance between Millennium Actress and Paprika, but again, it's not
Yeah.
like a bad movie.
Like it goes like for me, Perfect Blue, right underneath it is Tokyo Godfathers. There's a little bit of a gap, and then Millennium Actress, and then there's a bit of a bigger gap, and
Yeah.
then Paprika. I can't remember what my opinions on Millennium Actress was back when we first did it, but
I think mine were that it's kind of
It's a bit chaotic.
focused.
I want to say I was a bit more ambivalent even back then. But
Where start? Where begin?
terrorism.
Yeah.
We start with terrorism because they start. Why did they go straight to terrorism?
Dream terrorism.
Why is terrorism a recurring theme on these fucking podcasts?
You know, maybe that's our thing.
No, I don't want it to be our thing.
You know,
We make that our thing. We're gonna get investigated.
Oh no, they watch too much anime about terrorism.
points to all the episodes where we've talked and joked about 9/11.
Look, we just had a weird month, okay, where it was mentioned in every episode, and since then we've calmed down.
Is this our new Hitler?
Oh my god!
Where he keeps popping up.
Don't.
Remember that brief time?
Oh god.
Welcome to Anime Lane,
So
ladies and gentlemen.
I had seen Paprika before.
Yeah.
As in, it was on TV, but I was not paying attention.
Yeah.
And every now and then I glance and oh, it looks cool. And the parade song,
Yeah.
I instantly recognized. And I don't know what it is. There's something so vaguely threatening about it.
Well, that's just like all of Susumu Hirasawa's like music in general, because he also made the soundtrack for Berserk.
Yeah.
And like all of it's just vaguely threatening, unsettling, or like the most uncomfortable but like beautiful piece of
But
music.
it's
that you've
really
ever
good
heard.
because
yeah.
I'll say the best part about this movie is the music. Like that's my I'd say this is the best part because I didn't get the story. I mean, I knew I could understand the story as like a plot sort of eventually, but you know what?
I feel like it's one of those ones where you're not maybe necessarily meant to understand the general intricacies of what's happening, but more just the broad strokes
Cool.
Yeah.
of what's happening. I'm sure there's a lot of people going, oh no, but you're not seeing
Actually-
the deeper meaning.
Yeah, you're not looking
no.
at it this way.
Deeper meanings are fine to have, but you shouldn't need to know a deeper meaning to understand the film on the first watch.
Exactly.
This is my second watch though.
And you still...
I feel like I understood it less. I feel like I understood it fine the first time, and I watched it this time and I went, what?
Wait a second.
So it's like Akira syndrome.
But it just kind of... At all times, you're like, okay, so we have Dream World with the little mini... DC Mini?
The DC Mini, yeah.
Do they ever say what
DC
DC stands for?
I don't think
'Cause
so.
I was assuming like
Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatcher. Yeah.
It does kind of look like a Dreamcatcher when they're not wearing it.
That's what I assumed, but like there was a part of my brain, because I'm me, I did think fucking Dreamcast Mini.
My brain was like, Direct Current Mini?
Detective Comics Mini?
They're just putting a fucking power adapter on their head.
No, Batman
Basically,
comics.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's Batman comics.
Is there like a
Do they...
DC Mini?
What mean?
What is...
What mean?
Oh, Paprika.
Paprika. Because it's a well-designed object, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really get the elements of... We're not there yet, technology-wise.
It's experimental.
Yeah, exactly. Dream console.
Well, that's boring.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Go
just
all in. Just say
disappointing.
Dreamcatcher.
Yeah. It catches your dreams.
Could have written this better.
I could have done a better job of this.
I do not think any of us could have done a better job with
Absolutely
this
not.
movie.
It's just so trippy. You need to get so many things out of the way before you even start
Yeah.
that I think it's impossible to know exactly what's going on.
I think it was weird watching it like the second time round and going, oh, the detective does not have as much of a presence as I remember him having the first time around.
Honestly, weirdly same, because I just had the image of his face everywhere, kind of imprinted,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of it,
Yeah.
especially in
His
the
dreams.
opening scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
like
know,
that's
his
how
dreams.
it starts out. Everyone just sort of becomes him.
Yeah.
Which I think it's a really good opening, because dreams are trippy like that.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
You know, where everyone suddenly turns to you and it's you. It's your face. Everyone has your
Like I've had
face.
dreams like that.
Yeah. And then everyone with your face just starts like fucking running.
And then you get swallowed by like the floor.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've all been there.
Yeah,
exactly.
When he was chasing like the culprit after the kid had been shot and like he started running and the floor started, I was like, oh, I've been there. Where like you
yeah.
want to move and you want to be fast about it because you feel like you're being chased or something like that,
Feel
and
like
then
you're
suddenly you're just
treading, like, through water and dreams.
yeah.
Yeah.
It really does emulate the feeling of dreams like really well.
Oh, for sure. And I think it starts off really strong, but it does start losing me a bit, I'd say, after the first act.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is, I think, just because they have so much going on that they
Yeah.
need to explain, that you're just kind of being pulled through. It's like not necessarily exposition dump, but you need to know a few things.
Yeah, I think it's a mystery story that doesn't do a good job of explaining its own mystery.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, actually. Yeah.
Having just read a mystery book and now reading another mystery book, it's like, oh yeah, this is not a good way of doing mystery.
Because I kind of wish that the detective story was maybe a bit more forefront.
Yeah.
Because we kind of go back and forth on him actually being there.
Yeah.
To the point where I feel like a large part of the second half, he just wasn't there. And then suddenly he was there again.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's the guy.
It sort of felt like two separate stories stitched together more than like a B plot and an A plot in one cohesive movie.
I feel like it would have made more sense if the detective story was like actually present. He was the A plot, and until the third act, all of the stuff to do with the scientists, doctors, was like the B plot, because you could sort of give the information to us in bite-sized chunks about the DC money and the problems with it, and the fact that there is a mystery there, without just constantly beating us over the head.
Yeah. Like, don't you get it? It's like, no. I have no idea. It's like, we're going to go into the dream world. I'm like, what?
I feel like if they had done that as well, I feel like the whole Paprika and the actual doctor's name, whose name I forget.
Chiba, that's her last name.
Yeah.
Her given name's Atsuko, I think, because the big guy calls her A-chan.
Yeah.
So,
which I kept reading as A-chan.
Yeah, fair.
But I feel like that would have been better, because I'm still very unclear on that whole situation.
I don't quite get it either.
Like, is she an alter ego? Is it a split personality?
There's clearly something there, especially down to the fact that Pretty Boy fucking full on shoves his hand in her and like peels her skin.
We're calling him Pretty Boy.
That's like the only thing I can.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, that's his only real function.
Yeah.
He's not smart. And he's clearly just there as like some plot fodder for the fact that the chairman can't walk and wants his body.
That's what this whole thing is about, apparently.
Yeah. And then it turns into One Punch Man at the end, where he grows big.
Yeah.
And then a child grows big.
Yeah.
Which is the result of a romance plotline that came the fuck out of nowhere.
Yeah, they insulted the big guy throughout this entire movie. Like, you fatso.
And it's not even like suddenly it flips that around either.
No.
It's like she's just like, oh, I love all that about you, but it's a bit much. And I'm like, I'm sorry, the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, like he was trying to call you A-chan and you were like, I think the fuck not. Like, okay, clearly he has a thing for her. And it's the whole nerd, pretty girl dynamic, I suppose. And then at the end, she's like, oh, it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
What?
And then at the very end, it's like, oh yeah, they're married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
It feels like they didn't know how they were going to end it until the very end. So they're like, fuck it, power of love. Let's just put the love story in there.
There was part of me like, is the book available in English? And it is, but not digitally. So I was like, oh, fuck, I can't just download it on the iPad and go, where's the end?
Turns out she just killed him at the end. I'm sorry, I was just really grinding my gears.
Honestly, that would have been better.
Yeah. Because I feel like he was kind of meant to be a comic relief at some
I genuinely don't know, because I just felt bad for him.
Yeah, exactly. And he was just written to me as like an early 2000s skinny actor in a fat suit.
Yeah.
What I'm like Monica from Friends, kind of. Where it's like, because they are like fat, the only thing they do is eat.
Yeah.
And they eat a lot.
It's their entire personality.
Yeah, that's the only personality trait they have. And they get stuck in the elevator.
Oh, but his isn't just that he eats a lot, it's that he's also really fucking smart.
Yeah, he's a genius.
He's Sheldon, but fat.
Yeah.
But, personality, they don't really show that personality-wise.
No.
They just keep calling him a genius.
He's almost like the stereotypical, like, otaku persona, but, like, amped up to 10,000.
I'm gonna be honest, throughout, like, most of this movie, I was like, is this guy, like, a self-insert or something?
I don't think so.
But, like, a sort of distorted one.
Yeah.
not sure how to describe it.
Because he's almost the comic relief up until the point that Ah-chan just full on berates the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And then there's just, they don't interact for almost the rest of the movie until the very last, scenes.
And, confession of love.
Yeah.
Which, again, came
where
the fuck
she's
out of
in
nowhere.
a dream within a dream within a dream. Oh.
Again,
Wow.
you just go into this movie just thinking, don't assume you're anywhere at any time.
Yeah, just let it happen. Just let
Let
the whole movie wash
just
over
let
you.
it let it go. Let it wash over and just like, okay.
You've seen Inception, right?
Yes.
Yeah, have you seen Inception? I didn't think so.
I gave you a look of no.
Yeah. Some of the cinematography here has moments of and clearly the plot structure is similar as well.
I'd say so,
minus the whole dream heist. Because
Yes.
that's, the main thing of Inception. But the third act where it's sometimes you're not sure when they're coming in and out of dreams. It's I was watching it and I'm like, yeah, did Nolan see this? Was Nolan aware? Because some people have been like, oh, it's very clear. And I'm like, these things can happen.
I feel like the trope of, and it was all a dream, has always existed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is it possible that Inception was inspired by this? Yes. Is it possible that it wasn't? Also, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people point to the scene where Paprika's standing in the street and everything sort of starts crumbling in the dream and she touches it and there's a scene in Inception where Leonardo DiCaprio and
Elliot
Page are in a similar looking location and she touches it and it all kind of falls apart and stuff.
I have seen that clip.
Yeah. But then there's people who are like, no, it's not. And I'm like, look, I don't fucking know, but there's clear similarities for sure.
Yeah. There's a case for saying that it was
For sure.
Yeah.
It could probably be a coincidence as well. We don't fucking know.
Exactly. It's what was the name of the author of The Hunger Games?
Susan Collins.
She had never heard of Battle Royale until after the Hunger Games had been published, even though they're basically
It's that.
Yeah.
Again, as a concept, it is not the most
No.
developed concept of people go in arena and kill.
But even down to the end of the first book in the Hunger Games and ending with two of them surviving was exactly how Battle Royale ended in the book and stuff as well. Even though it's a bit darker and grimmer because Battle Royale is actually worthy literature and Hunger Games is
how fucking
I feel like we're about to get a debate here that's not what the episode is about.
Sorry, this is way off topic.
Of all the fucking teen movies we got in the era, that was the best one.
I mean, the movies are fine. They're okay.
The books as well.
Books are fine as well, but you're talking about a book that's this thick versus a book that's this thick.
I mean, fair.
For the listeners, he's taken his two fingers and made them slightly wider.
No.
Between
So
those two scenes.
you're talking maybe 2 to 3 times the length. Basically, you could fit the whole Hunger Games trilogy within the length of just Battle Royale. The book. I am getting so many fucking spam emails right now.
I've just stopped getting a whole surge of them, so it's it's moving on to you.
I got 3 last night from someone trying to claim they were Dashlane. We're gonna deactivate your account, and I'm like, no, the fuck you ain't.
I keep getting. This is so off topic for anime, by the way. Now, but feel free to cut this out.
I
in the
love
edit,
that we
but
don't know what the fuck to say about this movie, so we're talking about literally anything else.
I got 3 emails now from some sort of home owner thingy, and I was like, I don't own a home or anything like that, so I don't even care if you're actually spam or if you actually are trying to sell me something legitimately. You're not getting anything from
me.
It's see if you're eligible for free power or something. I'm like,
I don't watch free power.
Yeah.
I'm like, 1, you're probably spam, and 2, you don't want to ask me. Because even if you were real, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
So, delete.
How do we transition back to Paprika?
It's almost too trippy for itself.
Yeah, I genuinely was watching this like, a couple of times this week I've not felt great, and I'm like, am I coming down with something? And I watched this and went, oh my god, fucking, I wish I did.
I'll be completely honest. I watched this after I came home from work, and I got through half of it. Then I was like, I'm gonna take a nap.
Yeah, fair.
Took a 20-minute nap, went back to it, decided once we're at 30 minutes left, I'm taking another nap. I didn't.
I legitimately, I got to like 20 minutes into this movie, and this was in like 1 in the afternoon or something. I was like, I need to get a monster or something just to because I need energy to get through this.
Because it really drags at moments because, you have this kind of info dumping that is sort of necessary, but I think we could have done with, it's whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think it made any difference for me semi-knowing what they were talking about.
I think this all comes back to like what my main thought about like right after I finished it, and I think it sums up my feeling of the whole movie. Out of all the, is it Kon movies?
Satoshi Kon. Yeah.
Kon, okay. Sorry,
I don't know. Everyone pronounces it differently.
Can.
So, no.
Kon stands better than Kon to me. So, but out of all of his films that we've like watched, I feel like this is the one where like it being sort of trippy and like sort of surreal hindered it more than helped it.
Yeah, because like of the 3 we've watched so far, because the only one we haven't seen is Tokyo Godfathers. I think like all of them are trippy to an extent.
But you still know.
Yeah. It's all sort of like heavily considered, I think, in those ones. Whereas this, it's almost like
it's trippy for the sake of being trippy.
Yeah, they sat like in the writing booth and they're like, another layer.
Yeah.
Like, no, we don't need another
it felt
layer.
Like at this point they were like, you know his style. This is just what's expected at this point.
Yeah.
But there's no purpose with it. Like Perfect Blue had a definite purpose.
Oh
with
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Millennium Actress
is a structural thing, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Like it still makes sense that they did that. It made no sense.
Yeah,
that's a sentence. Yeah. But this one, it felt like it was just done that way because that's what you expect from the director, and it didn't really help the movie itself.
I think it's almost like
it didn't serve the movie, is what I tried to say.
I think it's like a lesser case of Tarantino syndrome, where the more successful Tarantino becomes, the more his autoristic tendencies get to run rampant to the point that his movies just become
unwatchable.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest.
Say it, I don't like the guy. It's fine.
I don't like. I have grown to hate him over the past like 2 or 3 years.
I've seen one Tarantino movie, and it's the one that everyone's seen, which is Pulp Fiction.
I actually haven't seen Pulp Fiction, to be fair. I've tried. I got like halfway through.
It's fine. I'm not gonna. It's not a movie I tell anyone you need to rush to see or anything. Like I watched it on TV when it was just on, and I thought it was fun-ish.
Yeah,
but like I wouldn't call myself a Tarantino fan because of it or anything like that. I don't feel an urge to watch any more movies.
Inglourious Basterds to me is his best.
Yeah, I'd say that or Django.
Oh, I haven't seen Django. But
Django is good. I think it's like once you hit after that with Hateful Eight and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's like that's where he just becomes totally
he got too much money.
Unchained. Yeah, no one stepped in.
No producer was like, I'm not putting my name in.
The only Tarantino movie I'd say I'm like interested in watching other than Inglourious Basterds, which I forgot was him until right now.
Yeah.
But there's actually Kill Bill, surprisingly.
Yeah,
enough.
That's fair. I get that.
Because, I like action.
I've
just finished watching John Wick, so,
I have interest in all of his earlier stuff, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction. I will finish it eventually.
No rush.
Jackie Brown and Kill Bill, like those are the ones. Like I'm ashamed to admit I haven't seen those, but I like sort of started watching them backwards at the time, which was like Django, Inglourious Basterds, and then I hit like there was something before that, and then there was Death Proof, and Death Proof legitimately made me want to almost kill myself. It is terrible.
Oh, great!
It's the double feature thing with Robert Rodriguez's Planet of Terror.
I think I've heard something about that. Yeah.
Planet of Terror is meant to be really good. I'm not even sure if that's the name of the movie. That's meant to be very good. Death Proof is Kurt Russell driving around being a shit stunt driver.
Oh, fun.
Oh, cool.
And it's just fucking boring.
Great.
Yeah.
But our point is,
Yeah, back to anime.
when I think directors get a reputation,
Yeah.
producers slowly kind of pull back their, opinions. They're like, oh, he's done well. And I think even if you're really good at what you do, you need some people there that tell you you're going too far.
Yeah, it turns into a George Lucas situation, because of course I'm going to bring that up in this situation, where like he ends up getting surrounded by functional like yes men at the end of the day, and you end up with movies like the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah.
Where at some point someone needed to tell George,
No.
stop.
Yeah.
Think about this for a second.
Yeah.
Pull back a little.
I think probably the closest equivalent is maybe Hayao Miyazaki. Because I'm not sure how much anyone stepped in at any point in his later movies and said, maybe
Rework this.
Yeah.
Think this through a bit more.
Because like there was Toshio Suzuki, I believe, is like the long-standing producer for them, but with how long they've been working together, I can't see him as anything more than like possibly just someone to facilitate Miyazaki's tendencies.
Yeah.
Because The Boy and the Heron, which is for some reason the English title of How Do You Live, which is the actual name of the movie in Japanese, took like 4 years to make, because that was meant to come out longer than that, I think. So it was meant to come out for the summer 2020 Olympics. Obviously, the end times meant that
the apocalypse
happened.
Yeah.
But when things went back into production, it was something like they were only animating something like 30 seconds a month.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So it does make me wonder. There's also weird decisions in some of his movies, like The Wind Rises, all of the sound effects of the planes are actual people just making the sounds. Yes. The propellers are someone going. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, Wind Rises is a great movie. It does sort of work, but at the same time, you're also watching it like, was this necessary?
Yeah. God.
Could have been so much more.
Or it's, no one stepping in with Nolan and going, hey, maybe you just should balance the dialogue properly and not be I almost said a really... No, it's not that bad that I can justify calling him that. Don't be a dick about it. Is the nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
I almost called him something very, very different.
It's probably what I'm thinking of, so I'm not going to push you on that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Paprika is... You see a really good idea there.
Yeah.
Something that could really work. And I think the through line of like the parade and everything is very interesting, but it becomes too much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like to the point where you kind of leave, the movie experience and you're like, you don't feel that euphoric sense of, that was nice. You're just kind of
there's
like...
no satisfaction at the end.
Yeah. Because the romance pop comes out of nowhere, so that doesn't, resolve anything that you had bubbling up. So you're just kind of left with,
Yeah, and we also find out purely through exposition that the detective resolved everything.
Yeah, exactly. At some point, he made a film. I'm like, what?
Everything that was left hanging gets resolved through narration or a note.
Yeah,
which isn't how film works.
Lazy.
Yeah.
To say the least. Can work, yeah, but to use all of them, it's a bit lazy.
Because he literally just sits back from his computer, puts in the web address, and then it's like, she's getting married, we heard you solved the case, hope everything's doing well, see ya.
Go see a movie.
Watch this movie,
Yeah. And then it's just like him walking the cinema, and I'm like, oh yeah, all the better Kon movies.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, okay, that's neat. Wish I was watching one.
Yeah, if only, But I'll appreciate it for its visuals still.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, visually it's really nice.
I think I have the same feeling towards this as I do towards Tenet. And I know I'm coming back to Nolan, and I'm coming back to comparisons, but I was talking to someone about this last night, where it's not that director's best film. It's not even like something I fully enjoy, but it is better than 95% of the schlock that gets put out onto screens.
Yeah.
There is more creative endeavor and thought put into it, where I'd rather sit and watch that than Twilight or, you know, the 15th Your Name knockoff that gets put out.
Yeah.
Even though I keep fucking buying those Your Name knockoffs.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean.
yourself.
We're very much a quantity over quality kind of turn. It's like whatever makes profit, we'll just put out there. And you can tell, like, you know, there was passion for this project. Maybe it was slightly, you know, lost along the way, or just, you know, wasn't reined in properly, maybe. You can still tell it was a passion project. There was effort, and everyone felt, you know, connected to the project. Even if it just didn't really.
It didn't come together fully at the end.
Still an interesting watch, though.
Yeah. I think it also kind of suffers from being stuck in the early mid 2000s era of we've just moved away from film, but digital's not quite there yet.
Yeah, so we're in that sort of transitional period.
Yeah, like the film still looks great, but it still has that like rough early digital.
You can sort of feel like if it feels a bit like a TV special.
Yeah.
In terms of the way it looks. Which, you know, you can't help that just because of the time it was in, but, you know, just looking at it from our viewpoint now, it just sort of has that feeling.
Yeah. A fun fact, the two bartenders in the, like, radio club or whatever it's called, the taller one with the grey hair, who has 5 lines throughout the entire film, is voiced by Kon.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a neat fact.
Yeah.
That is a fun little fact.
Yeah, because I love the first time he cuts in with like this really meta line about movies, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
I see what you did there.
The voice cast is actually quite interesting, I have to say, because there is one who you have heard before, at least, but you would never ever realize it was them.
Is it a Lupin?
No, in fact, I don't
That's
think
the
there's
most
any
recognizable for us.
So the Tokita, the big scientist, was voiced by Toru Furuya, who you guys have heard as Amuro in Gundam.
That makes sense.
And they do not sound alike to
No,
me.
not at all.
He's also the voice of Yamcha in Dragon Ball. He's in a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of credits.
Yeah, just looking at the stuff that's on like my actual list anyway. But yeah, you also got Megami Hayashibara, who's just in a lot of stuff, and probably most recognizable, she is the voice of Eevee in Pokemon. She also voices other characters and like lot more Pokemon.
Oh, I imagine so.
Yeah.
She's also filled in for Ikue Otani, the voice of Pikachu, a couple of times.
Okay, yeah.
And you got Akio Otsuka, who's the voice of Bato. He's Konakawa, the detective. Yeah, so I was like listening to it and I'm like, there are so many voices here that I recognize. But yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's nice.
I love fun facts.
Yeah.
Fun little
I just thought that
fact,
was worth bringing up because it's the first time I think there's been like proper crossover for us in the voice cast.
So now we can bring that up.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
Are we done with Paprika?
I think we're done with Paprika.
Do we want to score it?
Yeah, let's score it
It's
real quick.
difficult to
It
score.
is. I think even with its problems, I still think it's like maybe a 7.5 or an 8.
I understand why. to be
Yeah, like I
honest.
get that.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning for a 6.5.
I was the same.
Yeah,
I was
'cause-
gonna say that too.
Like, I think the drag that it has is really pulling it down for me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, to have it that badly to the point where you're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Like-
if I'm like at like halfway through the movie and I'm just and my mindset is fuck it, like
Yeah.
I'll just stop taking it in at this point. I feel like you've sort of failed
Yeah.
a little bit in some way. It's not a bad movie.
No,
I wouldn't call
no,
it a
no,
bad
I get
movie.
that.
It's just I can't put it above a 7.
No,
No,
that's fair. I
no.
get that.
Again, I love a lot of things about it. I think the parade to me sticks out most because, you know, they really make an effort to kind of showcase how it was created, how it's growing.
Yeah.
And everyone's just insane.
I like the movement of everything in the parade as well, and
the score perfectly
is
works.
great.
With it,
The first scene I think with Paprika sort of flying about, and like the scenes similar to that are also really good visually, but like beyond those points, I can't see myself really wanting to go back to this movie.
Yeah, I like it as a visual piece. I like the sound, because you know, put Susumu Hirasawa on the soundtrack and I'm fucking there for it. And like those two I think are strong enough for me that like I'll come back and watch it again, just because there's so many sequences that work just you know, either whether it's the parade or transitioning from, you know,
even the butterfly scene I thought was really good, where she's like Paprika's laying and her wings and the walls are covered, and like,
it was a good like sense of like uncomfortableness. That I think was obviously the intent.
And then like the detective watches that like on a movie screen and then sort of forces his way in. I think there's a lot there that could have been a great movie.
There is another EX episode of Anime Lane. We hope you guys have enjoyed that. All of Satoshi Kon's filmography all in one episode. So yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. See ya.